is now 6:01 p.m. Time to convene the Roy City Council meeting for this evening. First item is a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. Councilmember Dan Dewey.
Thanks, Mayor. If you'll just take a moment, let's have a moment of silence. Thank you. Let's go ahead and we'll stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thanks, Councilman Dan Dewey.
I've seen a lot of signs. Typically it's to the right.
First item on the agenda, approval of the June 6, 2017 City Council minutes. Are there any corrections to be made at this time? If not, we would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes of June 6, 2017.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, ratification of the mayor's appointments to the Planning Commission. Which we have some folks that served on the Planning Commission, and a new member will be Mr. Brand. He comes here from Nevada, where he was an attorney and also served on as a Planning Commission member there. He sent his letter to us, and he really has a desire to serve Roy City in a capacity on the Planning Commission. Also, we have two other members to be renominated at this time. Leland Karras has been on the Planning Commission since January 14, 2014, and he took over for Mr. Zito and has just finished his first term. He is there, he's well versed in what's going on in Roy City and does an excellent job. Clyde Payne has been on the Planning Commission since August the 11th of 2015. He took over for Mr. Hamilton, and he's just finished his first term. His attendance over this past year has been very, very well. He's attended 14 of 15 meetings in 2016 and 17 of 18 in 2015. Steve, do you have anything that you'd like to add at this time?
I just want to make a comment that I do appreciate getting the recommendation and resume of the newest Planning Commission. I think that's helpful to us to kind of know, the person that's going to be filling on the Planning Commission and making those decisions. So I appreciated getting that information.
Thanks, Carly. Any others? I think the Planning Commission has done an outstanding job for us for the past few years, and they work very, very hard, and they bring a lot to the city. So, Council, I would entertain a motion to reappoint Leland Karras, Todd Payne, and Mr. Brand to the Roy City Planning Commission. So moved.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. They are reappointed. The next item on the agenda is appointment of election judges for the 2017 election. Is that yours, Steve?
No.
No, it's me.
Okay, maybe.
Utah State Code just says the City Council has to approve the poll workers, the election judges for the upcoming election. This is just for the primary. There was a list in your packet of Vicki Stevens, Nick Stevenson, Patrick Standage and Tracy Pendleton, and they will be the election judges, and the polling place will be at the new library.
Amy, do you have that date of the primary elections?
August 15th.
Thank you.
Motion to approve election judges as stated.
Have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, call for the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda tonight is the discussion of draft strategic plan.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Is this on? Is it on now? Or is it?
Speak loud.
No, speak really loud.
There you go.
Now it's working
There you
and I
go.
speak loud. That's great. Because no one likes anything better than hearing my voice really loud. All right, so what we have here before you is a draft of the Royce City Strategic Plan. I'd like to take you through a couple of pages here, starting with the one that says here at the top, Royce Strategic Plan. I've got a hard copy here, so I'm not sure what page that is on the digital copy, but the central purpose in this undertaking was to provide Roy with a tool that can be used by elected officials and city staff to guide goal setting and focus efforts on those things that residents have identified as their highest priorities. In order to truly be effective, this plan needs to become part of how elected officials and city staff operate and think about programs and services. Ultimately, it needs to be incorporated into how we measure success. No matter how comprehensive this plan is, the test of its usefulness will be defined by how effective it is in guiding decisions and creating the future to which citizens aspire. So we went through a planning process. It began with the survey done by Weber State University to get feedback from the community. And then we were able to take that, over the course of several planning meetings with elected officials and executive staff to plan out what was important to us. What did we feel that was our strengths? What were our weaknesses, our threats and opportunities, a SWOT analysis, and talk about what Roy does best and try and focus on those things that we want to keep and what are the things we want to leave behind. And armed with that information, we planned and developed first we developed a primary directive, which I believe is on the next page. It looks like this. So we have a primary directive, and then we have 5 strategic directives, and then each budget year we have, for this year we have a total of 15 strategic initiatives, 3 initiatives for each directive. And you can see the chart there that has it's kind of a hierarchy chart there to help chart how that all goes together. So the primary directive, as we determined at that meeting, Royce City exists to enhance the quality of life for all members of our community through planning, visionary leadership, and by providing the highest quality municipal services in an efficient, courteous manner. Our strategic directives are community image and pride, economic development and vitality, public infrastructure, funding and management, workforce development and operational excellence, traffic flow and management. Those are the 5 things that, based on feedback from the community, you've as a group determined were our 5 highest priorities, the things that we need to focus our efforts on at this time. And so during the budget process, and this is why we are adopting this now after the budget has been adopted, is because at the strategic initiative level, that's where the strategic plan and the budget tie together. And we are essentially funding the ability for us to carry out the plan. The plan doesn't do any good if we don't have the money to actually implement it. And so that's what's been done through the budgeting process. And that's why now, after that's done, now we're ready to review this and then adopt it. And so that's what we've included in your packet for you all to look at. Suggest any changes to me, and then we'll move on to try and get this approved at a future meeting, hopefully as soon as one of our 2 meetings in August, depending on how much revision needs to be done.
Okay.
So at this time, I'm open to feedback from you all on anything you'd like to see in this, any changes, edits, additions, subtractions.
Jay, as I went through this, and I know it's on our agenda later on, but the feasibility studies that we're talking about, I thought may be a very important initiative as we look at the economic development vitality.
Yeah.
I thought, there was, only 3 key initiatives, and if we added one more based on the decision of the council tonight, on the direction we should be going on those feasibility studies might be something we could look at adding to that, in that area. It actually kind of gets both, that one and
Yeah.
the community image, because as we do that feasibility study and start changing things, the image of the city is actually going to be changed as well.
Yeah. I will send out to you, I have it right here, but it goes over what those strategic initiatives are for this specific year, and that the economic development one does already address. Administration has allocated funding specifically for economic development needs, such as an economic development plan to be completed in the next year. So economic development plan, but then 2 feasibility studies that we're looking at as well. And those would fall under that umbrella. So we are there, and like you said, we're addressing one tonight. We'll bring another one to council at a future meeting, but it's exciting to see things moving along here in Roy that will bring to the citizens some of those amenities that they identified in the survey as things that they would like to have here.
So I know, Jay, that we've discussed that one way to use this document is in our budget planning, which the important part of the budget planning is where the department heads actually put together their budgets, and then present it to the council. So has the department head seen this draft, and do they have any concerns or questions about it? Because I know that they'll be using this strategic plan to do their budget, next year.
They haven't seen this specific draft, but it's developed out of their feedback based on when I spoke with them and said, what are the goals that you guys want to look at accomplishing over the next 1 to 5 years? What are we doing? And so,
I just want to make sure we get their feedback too, in case they have any questions on this document and anything that needs to be changed.
So like with the infrastructure, I worked closely with Ross to talk about
That
infrastructure projects, and
Okay.
that helped talk about in the budget what it was we asked for as far, and then this morning in executive staff meeting, our weekly staff meeting, we went over, here are the initiatives for this year, and every week in that meeting we're going to talk as a group about how can we help these things, each other accomplish these things. This may be a road project, this might be an economic development initiative here, but we all, as we discuss it, can talk about how we can help each other be successful and make sure these things happen.
It's good to take this document and utilize it on an ongoing and continual basis in your staff meetings, with the department heads.
And so once this is adopted, then we'll do a focused effort to make sure it's pushed out and trickles down to throughout the entire organization and is posted visibly here in City Hall so the citizens who are visiting can see. We can have it posted in all of our city facilities so they, wherever, if you go to register your child for a rec program at the Parks and Rec building, there'll be a copy of it there. And so we'll make it visible because, I think it's the last page that says if we don't internalize this, then it's just words that we never really, it was just a wasted exercise if we don't really, and it shouldn't be a problem to internalize this because it came from within. This wasn't just something that we just created out of thin air. This was done based on feedback that you've received directly from citizens, feedback from the survey that was conducted, the things that the department directors and their staff have seen as they've gone around the city and they've interacted with people, and their knowledge of the needs of the community. That's how this was created, and so it is a very organic thing that should as we talk about these. Is it perfect? No, but I think it's picked up a lot of the needs and issues here in the city that we can start
Yeah, I think you did
addressing.
very well putting it together.
I will tell you, Jay, when we first started talking about enhancing our city website, as Brad did, I went ahead and started looking across the state in a couple of cities and a couple other states. And many of them actually who had strategic plans embedded those into those websites. And so maybe to get the message out to the residents in Roy, maybe once it gets approved and it becomes institutionalized, you suggest post it on the website and let everyone kind of get an idea and see how all this all fits together.
Yeah.
I think that's the initial goal, and this,
Was.
and the way the wording is throughout this document helps the citizens understand what we're doing, and
Yeah.
it gives the terms and definitions, so I think you've done a good job putting this together, you and the department heads.
You know, one of the valuable things is it gives us guidelines for the future as a council to direct our activities as well as the departments. You know, there's funding sources out there that can be brought to focus now because of this plan by the department heads and by the council. So I think as I went through it, what a valuable document to lead us into the future. It's spot on at this point. Council, any further discussion on this strategic plan?
Like it.
Okay, next item on the agenda, consideration of resolution number 1723, approving the contract with Staker Parsons for 2017 street maintenance project. Mr. Oliver.
Yeah, on June 9th, we had a bid opening for the street maintenance project. We had 5 companies bid on this, ranging from $723,000 to $918,000. With the low bid being $724,033 for Staker Parsons. Just come to ask you, request that we approve that with Staker Parsons for $724,033.
Council, any questions, comments?
I just had one question. As I read through the contract and stuff, Ross, I didn't know anywhere where this project was located.
It's throughout the city.
Street maintenance.
Is where?
It's all through the city, 3,100,
So there's multiple ones, but-
2,700. Yes,
But
it's our chip and
when I
seal.
get asked, I mean, that, you know, streets are one of the popular topics in the city. I can actually say, well, we have 5 areas that we're working on, and they are located here, 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 and here.
Yes, they're through all over this. 4,000 south from the railroad tracks to Midland Drive. 3,100 from 52 to 56 is going to be rebuilt. 2,700 from 52 to the Shop Road. And so, and then we have chip and seals throughout the whole city.
Whole
So,
city. Okay.
yep.
Yeah, I knew it was through the whole city. I knew it wasn't just one big section, but
I can email you a map if you'd like,
thank you.
of all the areas I'm doing.
That looked perfect.
Yeah, that'd be good.
And Ross, you've done a good job. Our streets took a tremendous beating this last winter, and there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so I think you went throughout the city and put together a good plan of action to move forward. So, council, is there any further discussion?
No.
May we entertain a motion to approve that contract?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we approve resolution number 17-23. That's approving the contract to give to Staker Parsons Company for the 2017 street maintenance.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll
Roll
call.
call.
Councilmember Dandoy,
Aye.
Councilmember Hilton,
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya,
Aye.
Councilmember Beecraft,
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item, consideration of ordinance number 17-9, approving changes to the Roy City Code concerning the powers and duties of the mayor and the city manager. Mr. Bobby.
Andy will be the one.
You got it.
He developed this, I didn't, so.
Okay.
So, Mayor and council members, what I've done here is try to put something together that helps. There's been a little misunderstanding on, we have an inconsistency there in who the city employees report to, but also, I'm not exactly sure all the things that we wanted added, so I've taken a look at what some other cities have done, and I've included a lot of those items in here. If there's something you don't like, let me know, because we can delete that. We can either do that through a motion here if we were to approve it tonight, or we can come back and at a later time too, put the ordinance back on with some changes. So I've given my best stab at it. I've tried to divine maybe what you're thinking, but I know we all have different points of view on this too, so it'll be a good opportunity to talk about some of those things. But if we want to take a look right at the start, and I've put it up here too, that it'll help, I think, illuminate exactly what we're talking about. I've lined out items that are in the current code that would need to be deleted, and I put in red different things that we would like to include. So if you'll notice, the first thing that we have is on the 1.6-3, it says administration vested in the mayor. I've lined through that and it'll just say mayor. There'll still be some administrative powers in the mayor, but if we use that as the title, that insinuates that everything's invested with the mayor. So, and that's not what we're going to do. So if you take a look now at A, we've deleted A because that really was causing some inconsistencies where we have a city manager and yet we're saying that the mayor is vested with all those powers. So we've deleted that. And B should read A, and we can get that corrected. But we've got powers and duties of the mayor. The chairperson presides at all meetings. Next part, we talk about he attends ceremonial meetings, officiates if appropriate, signs all ordinances, deeds, bonds, bills, notes. Typically, that's what we've always done. That's in state law too, where it talks about that. You could take that power away if you wanted to, but everywhere that I've seen, that still resides in the mayor signing those documents. And the other items that you'll see here as you go down the list, these are all different powers and duties that are listed in state law. We've had them in our code before, but at least we're limiting that inconsistency that we have up there in paragraph A. On number 11, you see I put in administrative boards because we like the mayor to make those appointments. If you go down to 13, then we get a little more definitive on what the mayor can and can't do, and it says he has no administrative or executive powers or duties unless designated herein. So that includes everything above. Those he'd still have, the mayor would still have those powers. If you read a little further, though, in that same paragraph, the mayor may provide citizens with names of phone numbers, email addresses, for assistance with citizen questions. So we'll run into those issues from time to time. So the mayor can provide that information on who to contact to the city manager, and then the city manager takes it from there. So I've seen this with another city where they have this. If this is what you'd like, then we'll continue and we'll leave that in.
When would you like to have discussion? As we're going on?
You know, as we're going on, any item here, if you'd like, let's bring it up and talk about it. And realize my role, I'm the city attorney, I'm not a policy maker. So I'll try to I'll put in whatever you want. And I'll take out whatever you'd like to.
Okay. So I know that this is just directed as the mayor. Being able to if there's a citizen call, to be able to provide phone numbers and email. I didn't read anywhere as far as council members having that same wordage.
Right.
Okay. Because I didn't see that addressed anywhere, so I wanted to, is that a separate issue or discussion item?
Yeah.
Is this directly just for the mayor?
Yeah, and this, what we have right here is just dealing with mayor's powers. Okay. We could add something later to deal with that specifically with city council. But I didn't see in our code, nor did I see any others, where they specifically listed powers of the council. Okay. So, but I do address council authority when we're dealing with city manager too, so that somewhat comes up there.
Okay, then I didn't have any other issue. I just wanted to clarify that.
Well, that is an issue on the next item. The city manager's under C. The it's kind of dealing with the same thing, so if you have an issue about that, you can probably get it out.
And I'm sorry, Dave, which one?
For the next page.
Oh, where we come up to the next
chapter.
page? Okay.
Right, so-
Are y'all ready to move on from this chapter? Are there any changes
Well,
that?
I'd like to just hold off on that. There's a couple sentences in the powers and duties of the mayor that have to tie in with the next one, the next few that we discussed.
Okay, that sounds good. So if we move over to chapter 7, and what we've done at the first, I've deleted part of this state law change, so you don't have that appointment you have to make every year, the first of the year. So just did a little bit of cleaning up there. But then if you go to B, that's something new, and that says city manager appoints and fills vacancies in department director positions. If that's what you want, that stays. If that's not what you want, we can keep it how it's been.
Let's talk about that now, because we've kind of had this discussion in other meetings stating that we would like that to still rest with the city council.
Okay, and if that's the feeling of you, that's how we'll.
It could also say that the city manager can make recommendations.
I know, I need to
Right,
look
and
at
that's,
that.
that's
Yeah.
okay.
You know, because I don't think that the city manager should be excluded from something since he's the one that's going to have to
To work
deal
with.
with it mostly, the recommendations, and then the city council would, clarify or vote on that.
And I'm fine with that too. I think it's good for the city manager to make the recommendations, but still leave the appointment and vacancies or firing of,
Well,
left to city council.
If that's up to the council, I would say to make a recommendation that he should be involved in the hiring process.
Right.
Right, right.
I agree.
Well, okay, let's see if I understand what we just said. The change then would be is that the department directors will in fact be hired by the city council. Is that what I think I heard?
Yes.
Yeah.
And will they answer to the city manager or answer to the city council?
That's a topic for us.
Alright.
Well, yes, they report to the city manager, but all hiring and firings are done by the city council.
And and places do that. They
I understand.
Yeah.
Right, that's what we've been doing all along.
That's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah, I would think the city manager would have the recommendation to come to the council and bring it to the council if he feels someone needs to be hired, or he feels that someone needs to be terminated, then he can make that decision as the chief administrator of the city and bring that to the council for their blessings to go ahead with the hiring, go ahead with the termination. I think, a lot of it has rested the powers of that previously in the mayor's hands at times, and we hire chief administrator of the city, and the mayor, as we were told, has relinquished certain powers to the city manager from his position to deal with those. And so I would think that would, as the chief administrative officer of the city, that would be in his ballpark to make the recommendations and discuss it with the council of his needs, of what he feels, how he feels that he can work with the people. More so, he's in tune more with the people, I think, than I am as the mayor. I know most of the department heads get along pretty well with most of them, but he works daily with those folks.
Yeah, I understand, Mayor. The comment is that more along the lines is that does the city council then assume some supervisory or management responsibility for department heads?
No.
Okay, so
No.
then what I'm hearing from the council then, make sure this resolution specifically states that the day-to-day responsibilities, the execution of the responsibilities, all administrative functions will occur between the city manager and department heads. And if I understand right, the only time city council will be involved would be the hiring or termination of a department head.
Right.
That's
how I would think.
Yeah.
Or hiring and firing of department.
Yes.
With that specific issue.
The hiring and firing as it exists now is just like what you said. And what we've had, though, is some of the administrative issues that, so, and I think we clarify that later when we get into the city manager's powers.
Okay.
Okay.
So for those, so let's just take a step back. When we look at B, do we still, or we have C lined out there, do we still have the mayor be the one who makes the decision on who to hire, and you go to the council for advice and consent for hiring department heads? Or do you want that to be the city manager chooses who the department heads are, and then you go to the city council for advice and consent?
I think it rests with the city manager. He's working with these people on a day-to-day basis. The mayor is not working with these people on a day-to-day basis.
I think it's a bad wording when you say appoint. Okay, the city manager will be the person who starts the process. Hey, we have an opening
Recommends.
department head, director. He'll get the applications submitted out to the council. Council will then convene as we have in the past.
With the city manager
With
being
the
in
city
that.
manager being involved. Say, this is who we want to interview for these positions. So I'm not saying it's an appointment, it's a hiring process.
Yeah. And he works on a daily basis with them, and with his staff, he knows, or he is familiar with the duties of each one of those folks. And so,
And through that hiring process, the council, combined with the city manager, will appoint whoever we elect.
Okay.
and he brings it to the council rather than the mayor saying, well, I'll take it to the council. It's just he has accepted those powers. And, you know, we were advised in the past that this is probably the process that we should be following.
Here's one way I could word that maybe, if we look down at C, how it currently exists, the mayor with advice and consent of the city council may also appoint and fill vacancies and all that. We could really change that to something like the city manager with advice and consent of the city council may also
And
appoint.
slash mayor or something.
Well, the city council included.
Who's the mayor?
He's part of the city council.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I could say city council, or I could throw in governing body, you know,
Oh,
either way.
Governing body.
The mayor, our form of government is a 6-member form of
Right.
government, and the mayor is a member of the council.
Okay.
So that's what we could go with, the city manager with the advice and consent of the council, if that's the way you're thinking.
Okay.
Okay, so he'd initiate that process and he'd come to the council with a recommendation.
There's a question though, a legal question.
Yeah.
Say the city manager says, no, I'm not going to appoint anybody. That cannot happen. If you write it that way, that can't happen. So it cannot be that way.
What kind of crazy city manager?
I don't, I'm just saying.
So that would,
That's not a good legal term.
Yeah.
That's what, so you need to make it not that term.
okay.
I just want to clarify here,
Right.
because this had to do with the duties of the
Yeah.
position I currently hold. I was completely out of this process. I did not
Just
recommend
make a
any
statement.
language
I
here,
understand.
so,
But you can join the discussion,
yeah, I'll
as we will know later.
I'm more better with the hiring process, not the appointment of.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I'll come up with some language there, okay?
Send it
I
back
can
out?
wordsmith that, so it isn't quite as strong as what we've got here. This is typically what I've seen in other ordinances, but I think I can word it to our desires.
Okay.
Okay.
Initiate
Okay.
that filling of the position.
So now if we move down into city manager duties, some of the things that I changed here, the state law had this language about the appointment can't exceed 3 years, and it's still in a lot of cities
It is.
where it shows up. It really shouldn't be. Typically, it's an indefinite appointment.
Right.
Okay, and so I thought we should line that out and say that it's for an indefinite term, and that means it's at the council's will.
Okay.
I've got in there that you prove an employment contract, and that's what we've always done.
Right.
I've also included what we already have. In addition to that, the city manager should carry out policies and programs established by the city council. That should be the duties. I've made some minor grammatical changes too. But now, if we go down to B, 2B, the city manager shall appoint, when deemed necessary, suspend and remove all. So I'm going to change that too, okay? That goes back to where we were at before. Department heads serve at the...
Just get rid of B.
Yeah, we just get B out of there completely. And that takes care of that. The next one, C, except for purposes of inquiry, the city council and its members shall deal with the administrative service solely through the city manager, and neither the city council nor any member thereof or the mayor shall give it orders to any subordinates of the city manager, either publicly or privately. This language I saw in some of the other codes. It comes from I believe a model city ordinance policy that was drafted nationally, and so some of the other cities have had that in there. If that's what you'd like, that's what we leave in.
I like it.
Okay, let's talk about C.
Okay.
Okay, C is a big issue for me, and I'm going to go over and explain why. It's never been in before. The city's ran great prior to having this become a proposal that it is. It's a conflict of interest on everything that we do as a city council. The reason for me, I'm sure other members of the council, is why we wanted to get involved is to make a difference. It's not just about making law. It's being part of and dealing with the issues that come up in everyday situations. Okay? What we do as council members, sometimes we have to give direct guidance, orders, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to give a few examples now. Let's talk about just basically Roy Days. Carlene is the chair of Roy Days. She gives direction and order to each and every single department head on the vision that she wants to see done and get accomplished. And we have no problem with that. She does that. That's a great job. Arts Council, Marge does the same thing. She gives direction and order to staff, be it Amy or Jay, to say, hey, this is what I would like or see you guys to do. Economic Development, I'm not part of the committee, but I'm sure you guys give direction to Steve and say, hey, I need you to do this for me, or Jay, I need you to get this done and accomplished that way. So that is what we do. It's not hurting anything that I don't see. It's being part of the community and being part of that. The minute we take that away, what's the point of having these boards or these governing appointments, or even us being a little bit involved in why we decided to be council members? So I think it's important that we just get rid of C and B, because it's never been there before. It's never been an issue before. We've worked together quite well doing it this way. The department heads, us, the city staff, we've always come together, worked as a family to make the accomplishments to see them through. And I think it's been a good thing and it's worked well. That's my opinion.
Well, let me just make a comment. Mayor, you have the authority to appoint any city council member to a commission, a board. And actually, you can, by your appointment, you can literally then put them in charge of that. That's within your authority.
With the advice and consent of us.
Exactly. And so when the decision is made, it simply says, Carlene would like you then to be the chair of the Roy Days. Then in essence, by the appointment, you make the appointment, we approve, she is now the chair. And so the assumption then would be is by those appointments, whether it be boards or whether it be commissions or whatever they is, in which case, Mayor, you offer those individuals, you then delegate and the council approves that delegation. And then the assumption is exactly what Dave just said. We take responsibility, we manage it, we execute it, and then when it's done, it's done. And if that means you make an adjustment to Roy Days because you need this or do that, by your appointment and the approval of the council, you now have the authority to do that. I think that's how it should run. I don't know if there should be any changes to that. But not everything is in fact by appointment. There's day-to-day activities, in all fairness, that I think, in all fairness, Jay, you need to simply take responsibility and you need to manage. The challenge oftentimes exists is that, and I've seen this in cases where city managers were not informed of the recommended changes. And so we asked the city manager, we said, what's going on with this? And Mayor, I've turned to you a couple of times and asked you, and what's going on with it? And neither one of you knew. As if, in fact, well, wait a minute. How could anything take place within the city without you knowing it? Or you delegating that, or and the council approving that delegation to do that? So I don't think we're too far off here. I think the challenge is that can the mayor go up there, to some board or some commission and simply make that delegation and says you are in charge, and we all agree, and we step back and let you execute your responsibilities. That's easy. The harder part would be is that if in fact we choose to simply says we're going to make a change because I don't like that taking place, or Ross, I don't necessarily like that situation, I just honestly direct you to change it. And that, I think, is where the challenge is. Because if you give me the authority to walk to Ross's office and say, Ross, I want to make a change, Mayor, why do I even tell you? And more importantly, City Manager, why would I want to even tell you? Because I have the authority then to be his supervisor, and by that authority and chain of command, I'll just simply direct him. So I'm asking, at least if we look at this, I think we can get there. We can make this work, and everything is supposed to do, but we as a council can define that a little clearer and simply says, okay, then if we're going to be over beautification, and the beautification committee then has the authority that says, I'm going to put a light here and a light here and a light here, then I say, we elect you and ask you then take that lead and you do it. And you make your own judgment, and you don't have to come back to us as a council and simply says, Mother, may I? You just simply says, we've been afforded that responsibility to make that decision. And I think that's workable. Now I know that if I have an issue with a particular part of a commission, or as I did with you, I came to you, Carleen, and says, Carleen, I need some information about your Roy days. I didn't have to go to Travis, I didn't have to go to Ross, I didn't have to go to the chief. I just went to you, you're in charge. And it was easy, I got the answer, okay? And so I would ask that if we're going to then delegate responsibility for leadership, and with leadership then assume tasking leadership, then I say let it be proposed by the mayor. You propose who you're going to put under as the commission chair, whoever's going to be it, and we say, yes, that person's it, and then we step back and let them do their job. And I think that's reasonable.
And I think, Bob, you're on the right track. What I think is I don't think we want to totally take out C. I think what we want to do is adjust it. Because I think we want to basically state that, just like Bob says, if appointed to a particular committee or something, then that council member has the authority to be able to run that, however, just like, okay, not good at wording, but that I understand. Okay, but then okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point, but I think we'll have to somewhat even tweak it a little stronger too. If we go back to like the beautification committee, when we decided to do signs, we came back to the council, or when we decided, hey, we want to do lights, we still had to come back to the council and get approval to spend the money for the lights. It was kind of expensive. So here was the recommendation of the council, let's buy light. So but there's certain little day-to-day things that'd be really difficult.
And I agree. And I think
so
you can tweak
where we
it.
define that, that's what we
Well,
got.
I think if it's within, well, again, because let's say beautification. So we have a budget that we're working with. We've approved a budget within the beautification. I'm working within that budget to get those necessary things. What I brought back to the council on beautification is basically, hey, these are the lights that we're looking at putting up. These are the banners. We're looking at changing the Roy City logo. And I've gotten council consent, but it's still within the budget that was approved for the beautification. So no budget items were, but the money wasn't like, it gone over, or does that make sense?
And it's also working with our finance director, so.
Right.
Yeah, even to that point, sorry, Brad.
I don't think that's what this is meant to be. I think this is, the case in point is, I was approached by a citizen that said, every time I go into my driveway, I bump my bumper on the road because the road's been elevated. We've heard this comment before. I'm not going to run to Ross and say, Ross, get this taken care of. Okay, I think that's what this is meant for. The process is, it says right here, for the purpose of inquiry, Ross, where are we at on this project of replacing cement or something like that? So I can give some feedback and then maybe meet with Jay and say, hey, we need to look at this area and see what we can do to get it done. And task Jay as the city manager to work with Ross to get that done and then report back to us.
So rather
That's
than
what this
Brad
is.
going to Ross saying, Ross, I want you to go out there and pour some
I
asphalt.
mean, you can
and
inquire,
do
you
that.
can inquire, but you
Okay.
can't just say, Ross, I want you to pull this,
Okay.
the project off of 4,000, bring it over here to
I have a
6,000.
little bit of concern, I have a difference of opinion on that. So let's just take that case in point. If that's the case, and we have a citizen, because we are working for the citizens, so the citizens have all right to call us and let us know of a situation. I feel that if I need to take care of it, I want to make sure that I'm getting that handled for the citizen in the fastest, way, because the citizen doesn't want to wait,
So how are you gonna do
5
that?
months. So I will call, and I've talked to these guys, I've called Ross, and I
You can do
would
that.
say, Ross,
that.
this is happening. Can you check into this for the citizen? But I also have let our city manager know that this is the situation. I've let both parties, and I've let our city manager know, hey, I've been in contact with Ross, this was a citizen concern. So a couple of ideas that I had was that I think we have to get away that as a council, we have the ability to speak and ask questions to any of the department heads. It shouldn't be where we should not feel like we should be able to talk to them. I feel like we need to state that a city council member must talk and everything should go through the city manager with any concerns or changes or adjustments to any budget. So if it concerns a budgeted type item, it must go through the city manager first before it's discussed with the department head.
Unless it's a committee, like,
Yep, unless it's a
Right,
committee.
Right.
I think the city manager has enough little things to be able to deal on his plate that some things could be addressed on a department head. Let's take a cost of something. So let's say that I need to know, Kathy, how much did we spend on the lights out there? I should not have to go to Jay and have Jay
It's not
now
saying
go
you should.
to.
Says, if except for the purpose of inquiry. You can inquire of any department head you want.
well, it's
It's telling you to do that.
let's go back
It's
to
telling you to go ahead and do that.
your
I'm not-
first
And I'm not
situation.
saying that
Right.
you run to Jay for every little thing.
No, I don't think that we should. I think, and the other thing is, I feel that department heads, and I don't know how to word this, but if a council member comes to a department head and asks or inquires about something, the department head should be able to feel confident enough to say to that council member that the task is either going to take me way too long, and I do not have the time to do it, and you need to talk to the city manager, or yes, that's a simple task for them to do. Because I know some department heads feel like that they cannot say no to a council member if a council member comes to them and asks them to do something. And the department head should be comfortable enough to tell a council member, no, I can't do that right now, that's going to take me way too long, but they don't feel like they can. I don't know how we can address these things, but because I just want to make sure that it's also stated, just some details, just to kind of detail it more a little bit.
I think we're on the right track when we talk about things, but we got to realize there's so many different scenarios.
There is
that are
gray,
involved.
we can't write gray.
Ultimately, it comes down to communication, guys. That's simple, just we communicate and talk to each other. 'Cause I want your opinion on this right now. Andy and Jay, you're both city managers. Do you have any problem or issue that says Mrs. Smith called Councilmember Tafoya and said, hey, I got a light out on my street, my address is 4400 South, 5600 West, can you come fix it? Sure, Mrs. Smith, I'll get right on that for you. That council member just calls Ross. Ross, Mrs. Smith called, could you fix this light for her? Great, boom. Is there any problem or issue with that, you guys? Let's talk about it. Do you see any issues with that?
Yeah,
We received some very sage advice here a few weeks ago from the Utah League of Cities and Towns. Their legal member came here, Mr. Church, and his advice to council members that evening was that we are legislative in nature. We have a city manager that we hired to direct, and that's who it should go through, folks. It shouldn't go through me as the mayor. If I get a complaint, I'll usually call the city manager and say, I've received a complaint. And hopefully, he will take care of that. And, you know, that's why we hired a city manager. I have faith in him, as does the council, and must have, because we hired him and brought him aboard. I have faith in our department heads to operate their department. But no one can serve 7 different masters. So if we have issues, I'm saying we go through, I think, we go through our city management staff and let them do the job that we've hired them to do.
Okay, so Dave asked you to.
I think it's a good discussion that we're talking about this, because we have certain little issues, and maybe we can't anticipate everything.
Right,
There's so many
right.
different
So,
things.
yeah, and if we, we're looking at little things, you got to, like Dave mentions, okay, hey, there's a light out. Do you want to go through this, or do you want to just directly call that department head and go, hey, this citizen complained there's a light out, and Ross says, okay, I'll take care of it. Or do we want to go that extra step? That's a policy decision for you guys. Certain things, do we have certain things that are minor? Should we take some of this and form just an independent council policy that's not in ordinance that talks about some of these issues where we can go? And those will be policy decisions for you guys. But
Well, and I think it will also
Jay, I
help
think
if
you-
we have that policy in place for department heads too. So so then they know, okay, I'm okay to do this if a council member comes to me, and
I
Ross
don't
can
know
fix
that
the light.
anybody else has anything like this, but it would help define our roles. So
It would.
It's good that we're discussing this.
Well,
Go ahead,
But
Jay.
you would agree that, and Ross looked at me right in my face when he made this comment about a year ago, because I asked him. And the issue was, he said, quote, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, Ross, but you were as honest as I've ever seen. You said, if a city council member asks me to do it, I'm going to do it. There's no debate, there's no discussion. So you got 6 people up here in the council who could walk in your office and direct you to do anything, plus Jay. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
And you will do it.
Yes, within budget.
And I'll give you an example. I've had 2 people in the past that have tripped over sidewalks that have been raised. I didn't take time to call the city manager. I called Ross and said, this is critical. They've fallen and hurting themselves. So it needs to be taken care of. If I wait for going through this versus I can get it done right now.
That's what I'm saying, there's a time.
Well, okay. And correct me if Brad, but I'm not so sure you were such a pusher in making sure that we adapt a website that says, let's get this out to the people and make sure that people can go on that website and go VR direct right to each department head on an issue and say, let's fix this, and I need that. Would you give it, and it's an honest question, Ross, Travis, let's go down the list. If a city council member or, in fact, the mayor was to call you directly, would there be more emphasis in getting it done because of that call versus a complaint from a residence that says I got a problem because it's a safety hazard?
Honest, yes.
Yeah. And so if you kind of lay all this out, why would the 37,000 people in here want to even deal with Jay? Because all they have to do, Jay, is call a city council member and have the city council member just direct you to do the work.
But I don't think we put on there, I think what we did on the website was put the liaison, put the city council member over those department heads, so they knew to maybe call that department head, the liaison.
Right.
No, but correct me if I'm wrong, because I had this conversation. Isn't there a part of the website that simply says if a person has a complaint, particularly a problem, a light out,
Yes.
a raised thing, that they can VR direct right to your office?
Yes.
And doesn't that set in motion then a process that says now it's accountable? And if Jay has a feedback system, including you, that as soon as you get that issue, whatever the issue may be, then we have an official record that has been a tasking, and now the question is that are you getting it done? And that's the process.
But he's going to know, budget-wise, can I do that? Is it within my budget? Or do I need to contact Jay because it's above budget?
I think, and that's a good question, but here's the interesting part of this conversation is, question is that the line of authority in terms of chain of command simply says that we are going to hold, according to Royce City's policy today, we will hold the city manager ultimately responsible for every tasking that comes out of this council. And that his responsibility, and you can read it in the reg, that basically says we will task him, he will do it, and we will hold him accountable. Here's the interesting part. Ross, if I come up and task it to you, am I still going to hold the city manager responsible? Not even. And so, am I going to hold you accountable then? Now, my frustration I get would be is that I'm not writing your appraisal, although that may be another conversation we're going to have. The issue is going to be is that I'm not writing your performance, I'm writing his performance. And my frustration has been in the past, Jay, is that city managers did not know there was a tasking taking place to the department. And so ultimately you're accountable for what's going on in the city, but in some cases you don't have a clue because you're left out of the loop. So now we have to make a choice. The question is, if it is in fact a safety issue, a hazardous issue, is it in the best interest to go directly to the department head to address it? And therefore it gets done? Or is the real issue going to be is we direct it to the city manager and ultimately hold the city manager accountable to this council, which is what the policy says today, to get it done. And then he figured out whether he wants to prioritize the budgets, because he has that authority. The policy simply says that if he wants to move money from one department to another department, he has the authority to do that. Then the key would be is that we hold it according to policy. Otherwise, Mayor, we got to get into the policy and we got to shift it around so now I can hold Ross or any other department head accountable when I give them a task. And I don't think that's really how it was designed.
Okay, now I'm going to speak on this because you're talking about a policy stuff, Jay, or Bob, my fault, Jay, sorry. And accountability and structure, but you need to realize, even Dave Church says, whatever the governing body chooses its government to be is what it is.
Yes, right.
Okay, so we can decide whatever we choose us to be.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right.
And ultimately, you stated this before, I've stated this before, we are accountable to the citizens of Royce City.
Mm-hmm.
And so when a citizen calls me and says, Councilman DeFoy, why haven't you fixed my light? I'm the one that's responsible for that to see that gets done. I'm the person who they've relied upon to say, hey, you're one of my elected officials, I depend on you to make sure that this gets happened. And I could reply, Mrs. Smith, I can fix your light, that's no problem. When you come to me and say you want a big change, sorry, that's a council decision. These are just minor things. It really comes down to communication, okay? And I'm going to bring this up. Might not be a good topic for everybody, but I think this came up because of me. It's never been in before, and yes, some people have had heartburn that they've had input on what the sign says on 4800 South without anybody else getting involved. And yes, I'm going to be honest with that. That did happen, okay? I contacted Jay to go see the light. I ran about. He went and did that for me, investigated it. We kind of tasked Ross, go and check and do his thing. And they came to me with the design concept, okay? And I said, yes, I approved that. Great job. You and your staff did great, which is, I thought, was fine because we were trusting the staff to do their job, what we've asked them to do. Some people had a heartburn about that, okay? So yes, I'm taking blame if that's a mistake for some of you, but that did happen and that did occur, okay? But that comes back to communication on my part. I could have done a better job. And we don't need to change a whole policy because things have been working good and they've done great. We've given examples back and forth. It really comes down to communication again. Yes, I erred on that part, okay? If there's something else, that's something we can talk and communicate about. But these little things, such as changing a light, fixing a curb, shouldn't have to be dealt with. Council can't do this. You can't talk to this person. That's not what we, or me, as part of the city council, envision us as a city to be.
I agree with what everybody's saying here, kind of basically, because I think we're on the same track, really. Case in point, I'm driving up 4,000 and I noticed the sprinklers were going off. One was broken and was shooting out in the road. I called Ross because it was a weekend. I don't even have Jay's number, well, I do now, but at the time I did. I told Ross, I said, I don't know if it's an emergency thing or not, but, you know, he called his guys and they went and checked it out. I think we need to have the right to talk to the department heads. I didn't tell them it needed to be done right now, I just said be aware of it. I think you just need to use caution
We do.
and common sense when you
Yeah.
talk to department heads. I don't want any of you guys out there to feel like you have to do exactly what
We say.
Councilmember Hilton says.
Oh, okay, now that's a good question. If Councilman Hilton directed you to do something, will you do it? Absolutely. Oh, I see a nay over there.
I need 3.
But here's the interesting part, and let's not lose sight, and I'll
Department head
try to
can
shut up
also
on it.
say, department head can also, I feel that they should have the right to say, hey, that needs to go through Jay, or I do not have the time to be able to do that task. I don't want them to feel that they do not have that authority to tell us that cannot.
I know, but Carlene, I'm telling you, just a few minutes ago, we just simply told everyone in this room that's a department head, we will decide whether or not you're hired or fired. We, and I promise you, people know who butters their bread. And they know. And they know if, in fact, I have the influence to simply go out there and decide whether they have a job tomorrow because they're all at-will employees. I guarantee you, just like Ross has said many times, and he's absolutely spot on, if I direct Ross to do something, he will do it. Right. But at what point, Mayor, have we moved from the legislative leg of government into the executive? Because that's exactly what we're talking about here. We just became the executive part of the government.
And that's just fine if it's what the majority of the council decides. There's no problems with that.
It should go, we hired a city manager, and the mayor gave up part of the executive powers when we hired the city manager to go through a city manager to do our business, folks.
But we don't want him micromanaging. We want him to be able to manage the city without having to worry about all
you need to
these
know about a light?
smaller things.
No.
Okay.
If I can
Yeah.
weigh in.
Please.
I don't even know where to start. There's been quite a bit of discussion here. 9 times out of 10 on things about a light, a pothole, stuff like that, I'm going to defer to my department heads anyway because I don't micromanage. I trust that they're getting their jobs done and intervene only when I feel like I need to, and I have trust in all of them. Going back to what Mr. Church said, there's the legislative branch and there's the administrative branch. And this says city council, whose purpose is legislative, shall deal with the administrative service solely through the city manager. That's that fireball between you guys stepping into the administrative arena. And so, and it does cause these problems with chain of command, communication, when you've got too many cooks in the kitchen directing people around. And so, but this is a moving target here because there's different degrees of direction. No, I don't want to hear about every single light that happens, and my staff is really good about, hey, so-and-so called me, said they want me to work on this. And if you called and said, hey, the light's burned out, I would say, Ross, if the light's burned out, you take care of it the best way you see fit. I'm not even going to call Ross and say, Ross, this is what you need to do to fix this. And I wouldn't expect any of you to do the same when you called him and said, I expect you to fix it this way, Ross. Because he's a bright man and he knows what he's doing, and I would say the same thing about all of them, except for Kathy, because she's not a man. But I trust they are going to handle it the way that they should. I just need to know what is being directed so that I can hold them accountable on your behalf, because like Dave was saying, if that lady expects that light is going to be fixed and that she went to you, Dave, yeah, you're going to hold me accountable for it, and so I need to make sure I'm holding him accountable for it, but I can't do that if I don't know what's going on.
So what you're saying is you would like us to not only contact them, but let you know what we've done.
Yes, that, or they'll let me know. I mean, however you guys, I don't want you to have to make 500 phone calls.
Basic communication.
about stuff. Yes, it's communication. It's I mean, if you can think about it from the standpoint of, okay, how much is this going to impact operations and the budget, what I'm asking?
Or could it
And
come back?
that's that threshold where you need to decide, is this a routine thing that is, you know, or am I asking for something kind of outside those boundaries where I might be delving too far into the administrative side of things? And I guess me and my staff, we need to be better about saying, yeah, that's something we're gonna have to bring back to the council. And getting input from everybody on this before we proceed. Have I said enough? Have I mean, I don't want to micromanage. I don't want anybody to feel like that is happening or that you guys can't talk with them about things that are going on. Yes, Dave, you said you want to do this because you wanted to be involved and help, and we do have those committees for that purpose. And that administrative authority has been delegated from me or the mayor to this committee, and thank goodness I don't want to get involved in Roy Days and all of that. That is so much planning that I just don't have the bandwidth for. And so I appreciate these things. And so it's just I think we just all need to be better about communicating and stepping up and putting these things back toward in front of the council, because one thing that Mr. Church did point out as well is if you're not sitting up here, you've got as much authority as just anybody else sitting here in the room.
Correct.
As any other citizen. And so we do need to make sure that when, you know, you have an idea, if there is something that needs to be fixed, that we're discussing it in an open forum, that you guys are all on the same page, and that way everything's above board in the clear. There is no hard feelings or any sort of thing like that. Because I'm supposed to serve all of you, and all of us are supposed to serve all of you, who are in turn serving the people of Roy. And that's what the strategic plan is trying to make sure that we're harnessing all of this energy, thought, power, everything into a very focused plan to be as effective as we can be.
So I
don't know if that made everything gray or what.
No, I think that's good. I think, Andy, it kind of leads back to what you said earlier. There is a policy or something that kind of details what we've been talking about. Is there a way that we can? Because I think for future councilmen, I think having something more, just kind of explain communication, make sure you can you write something up with what we kind of discussed?
I think I could. So,
Okay.
and we can look at it. We have policies for the council,
Mhm.
policies and procedures to deal with meetings and putting things on. We could try and put,
Elected official handbook that I've been working on, that something like that could go in here.
Yeah.
so, you know, we might be able to toy with that. One of the issues that I see coming up, or that's here that we haven't discussed too, let's just say a council member says to the city manager, hey, I want you to do this, or I want you to, okay, so we got one council member giving maybe an administrative order or requesting something. I don't think he can act on one council member telling him something. So I think part of the process should go along these lines. Let's say one of you wants something in particular. When we have our council discussion at the end of the meeting, a council member could say, you know what, you guys, I'd like to see, I've got this in mind. Why don't we do this? And then you all talk about it for a few minutes, and you say, you know what, let's get back at our next council meeting. Why don't you guys think about it a little bit? At our next council meeting, it only takes one of us to put an item on for discussion. So we put it on for discussion at that next meeting. We discuss it. If three of you are like, hey, I want to see a resolution or I want to see an ordinance, great. I put that together. I think that works pretty good, rather than if we just had one person saying, hey, this is the action I want to take. We don't know that. Let's have a discussion.
And I think add that as a line item. Add that as, you know, any ideas or suggestions need to be brought up in city council.
Yeah,
During
don't
council
need-
comment, I think.
Yeah,
council comment.
And if that's just a
Perfect.
certain line item,
Yeah.
I just think if it's just detailed a little bit more, then it will help us, and and it's something that we will have to be able to go back to,
Yeah.
and then also for future councilmen.
Because we could say, you know, it's just somebody comes up with an idea, say, you know what, I think we ought to change this, or I think, you know, that we should do something here. Great. You guys, these are my thoughts. hey, let's get together, why don't you guys think about it, in our next meeting, let's put on for a discussion item, we all come prepared, we talk about it, and then we go, yeah, you know what, I think that's a great idea, let's give direction here to go forward with, you know, with whatever we want to do, and then we prepare the ordinance or the resolution, and we take that action. And that's easier than just somebody saying, Jay, let's do this. That's one of my thoughts on procedures. And again, these are all your policies, I'm just throwing out thoughts. It's not up to me to make policy here.
I
So do
think
we,
that,
so do we need to have a workshop where
we
we
might,
can
but
talk about
I think Dave's
communication?
right on this. I think this C really pertains to the city council specific
Mhm.
and the direction that the city council should do. So based under the city manager, I think we're going to just omit C with B
Okay,
under the
I'm
city
fine with
manager.
that. Yeah, and then put it under the city council, I agree.
Because
Well, that's
it
not-
is more directed towards what the city council should be
Right.
doing
Yeah.
and not
No,
what the city manager.
And the only thing I'd say there is I don't see that in any other cities where they've given
So we could
specifics.
discuss it.
But we could, so it's just, part of me, it's how do I fit it,
It's like
where
you
do I
said,
place
it
it?
gives us guidelines.
Yeah.
It fit under the city council
And
guidelines.
we could throw that into a policy too, and not necessarily have it be in the ordinance, Brad.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, just so long as we cover it somewhere.
The value that having C around somewhere serves is that while we've reached a happy place here in this meeting today, the department head hired 3 years from now that wasn't here, doesn't know about this,
Right.
is going to need that written somewhere for them, or a council member elected in 4 years or whatever is going to need that somewhere to help them understand that there is a specific guideline about the separation between the legislative role and the administrative role. And if it's written
We'll
like
let Andy
C,
come up with what he thinks.
yeah, if it's written like C, whatever, but
Okay.
just for posterity's sake,
Then how about we ask the question, should we table ordinance number 17-9?
Yes.
And allow us then to further review this, maybe provide some comments back to you so you can kind of understand where the council thinks individually. If the question then goes to a workshop, we can refine this in a workshop setting. Otherwise, I see a lot of things on this agenda we're not going to get to tonight if we expect to get out tonight, because we hadn't even got to page 2, which I think there's some other elements of this we got to have a good talk about.
I'm not going anywhere.
I think what I would like to see is, let's do this in a workshop setting, and
Okay.
then we'll bring it to the council once, we get things hashed out, we can do that in a workshop, and then we bring it in and present it and go, okay?
So I'll entertain a motion then, Mayor, if it's okay, that we table ordinance number 17-9, approving changes to the Roy City Code concerning the powers and duties of the mayor and the city manager.
And do we want to set up a workshop date now?
Do you want to come up, do you want to have Andy just try to come up with something and then, because we
Wait
might
till
not
after
need a
Roy Day.
workshop if the wording.
You know what, I can do that, I can come up with something, we could handle the work session on the same night as a councilman. We can discuss it in council meetings too, we don't necessarily have to do it, we can do it like we're doing it now, or we can do it in work session. Either way, I'm good. My hardest thing right now is I'm under the gun on some pretty big issues.
Yeah.
That we've got to take care of this America First thing, and there's a lot of stuff, and that's got to be my top priority.
That's fine.
There's also some other things that I can't even get into right now.
Well, at least we know
So,
that-
But I think you've got to, you kind of know where we're at, and I don't know that we're really going to have any
I agree.
issues come up, but if I can somewhat codify it in ordinance or policy or procedure manual for the council, I can run that by you guys, but I think it's a good idea. It'll help give all of us an idea of what framework we're working in.
Okay.
We have a motion on the
Bob, can you amend your
floor.
motion to include 5, 6, and 7, since they're all tied together?
Are they all tied?
I believe so.
Yeah, I agree. 6, 7, and 8?
Yeah.
6 and 7.
6 and 7.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, because with the way that we're
Yeah.
looking at changing number
Yeah,
6
good
right
point.
now, that takes 7 right out.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Mayor, we have a proposal motion that we table ordinance number 17-9, approving changes to the Roy City Code concerning the powers and duties of the mayor and the city manager, and table resolution number 17-25, approving changes to the Roy City Personnel Policy and Procedural Manual.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? That's tabled.
Okay.
Andy, thanks for your efforts on that, though.
Yeah.
I mean, I know your plate's full, but I appreciate you doing that.
Thanks, Brad.
Next item on the agenda, consideration of the resolution number 1726, approving a contract with Second District Juvenile Court for graffiti removal services. This is going to be well needed, I think.
Yeah, and we've used them for 3 or 4 years, longer than that even, and it's a good contract for us. They help us out. There's a maximum limit of $1,000. If we exceed that, we'd have to come back and notify them that, hey, we need more work, and it would have to become a budgetary question. But, it's with the Second District Court. We call them up, tell them we have graffiti in different areas. They will go on private property if we get waivers and liability signed. Businesses, we've used them for a few local businesses on frontage roads and things that have gotten tagged. It's been a good arrangement to help us. They come quickly, and if we let them know that there's maybe a little bit more vulgar, they'll come even faster. We have had instances where it's been so bad, we've sent crews out and said, we just got to get it up immediately. We can't even wait a day, but it's been a good relationship.
Is it getting worse?
I don't know that I'd say it's getting worse. It's getting a little different, but I don't know that I'd say it's getting worse.
Kind of like a roller coaster, comes and goes.
There you go, there you go.
Travis, just for clarification, I was given a rumor that Roy High School got vandalized.
That is correct.
And is there graffiti issues, or was this actually permanent property damage?
It was, and I'd probably turn the time over to Chief on that more. He's involved with it more than I am. So I'm going to let him talk because, like I say, he's got more details about it than I do.
It was graffiti, but it was just graffiti. There was no permanent damage. We think that might be connected to some other stuff that was going on as well.
Occurred last night? Is that?
No, it happened Saturday night.
Saturday night, okay. And then...
But we do have some video and
Oh,
we're
do you?
working on it.
Okay, thanks, Chief.
Travis?
I don't really have anything else to add. Like I say, I think it's a good agreement. I think both sides benefit from it. And I would ask for your approval of Resolution 17-26.
I would entertain a motion for consideration of resolution 1726.
Second.
Motion, we have a second. This roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Beecraft?
Aye.
Councilmember Dandoy?
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman?
Aye.
Councilmember Tafoya?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is a public hearing requesting the general plan future land use map. Steve, you're up.
Motion to go to public hearing.
Second.
Motion to go to public hearing, Brad made it. Do we have a second?
Second.
Marge, seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
We are now in a public hearing.
Amy, can you? Okay, as mentioned, this is a request for public hearing for a general plan amendment and a zoning map amendment for property located approximately 4155 South, 1900 West. So here's the kind of the property that's being requested to be changed. General plan right now has it as park and green space. Request is to change it to business park. And the zoning map currently has it as R18 and is being requested to be changed to business park. As you can see, it's part of North Park right now. On this particular map, it does show in the kind of towards the audience that nice tan color. Not rich dirt, but it's dirt. Where the park will expand to, going from where it is now to over there. It actually improves the park, it'll increase the size and whatnot, but this is an area that American First Credit Union is looking to expand into, to have a parking lot go over there, at least into this area that's been identified. So again, here's the
master land use map showing the current indication, and then the zoning map. Here's kind of a general idea of what the American First Credit Union would like to do. Again, the buildings up there are existing, the parking lot around them exist, and then as you go down farther south towards 4200 South is where North Park currently exists. To the west of the Bowery and trees already exist a parking lot, not to this extent, but there are parking stalls that exist there now. And then to the west of the Bowery is currently just grass and open space. I think part of the football field is on there right now. But again, as mentioned, as we go backwards, if I can get there, the park is extending down where the North Park Elementary School used to be. So the city's taken over all that land, so it's actually increasing the size of the park than it was originally. I know there was a concern, did I not put it in there? There was a concern by a citizen that asked about removal of trees. So in this map where I've kind of indicated and shown, the yellow is what's remaining currently at the park, the orange is what's going to be removed, and the green is what's going to be installed. So in fact, the park will have more trees as a parking lot than the park did as a park. So those that are on the south side of 4200 South will actually see more trees that'll align them. It'll be a nicer looking streetscape, at least on the north side. There'll be more trees along what's proposed of 2025 West Street. And again, throughout the area, there'll be more trees. So yes, some of them are going to be removed. I think there's a total of 25 to 32 trees that will be removed. Some of them are good size, which would be sad to see. But they are proposing to leave all those that are sitting around the Bowery and the volleyball court right now. Very similar to the American First Credit Union's campus there in Riverdale, where they have a large Bowery, large open space and green for the employees to be able to use. They want to maintain that look here. So again, you'll still have a large section of the park to remain, but it will be under private property. That one I guess I put underneath the subdivision. So the Planning Commission did hold a public hearing last week. You do have the comments from all those that were in attendance and that spoke. Again, nothing that you haven't read before and stuff. The Planning Commission, after which, did close the public hearing and then recommended approval of the changes to both the general plan and the zoning map. Staff also recommends approval of these changes.
Did they talk at all about public being able to use the Bowery, like on the weekends?
Looking at it as part of a general plan and a zoning map, it really is not. It's if and when the city sells the property to them, that it becomes private property. It really is up to America First if they want to allow it to be used for public. Again, the city is going to put a Bowery and stuff in the new North Park, so I don't foresee having the need to have private property used for public uses. But it doesn't mean they couldn't call them up and try to reserve it. I'm not sure. I'm not America First.
No, I can verify that use with them. That should.
What about parking for public space?
No, we're entering into a license agreement that will allow the citizens of the city to be able to use that. And what we do is we kind of define the hours that'll come up. They're going to need that during their regular business hours. And off the top of my head, I think it ends at 4 o'clock, and from 4 o'clock on, we're able to.
4 o'clock on weekends. So
And weekends.
Soccer, football.
Right, so we have discussions for public hearings, so let's wait until we get that.
All right.
Any questions for myself?
The meeting is now open for public discussion. If you want to address the council, come up to the microphone, state your name, address, and go ahead and address the council.
My name's Evan Keniston. You said the address?
Yes.
4224 South, 1950 West. So I was at the public hearing, I think is what you called it. The representative that was there for America First did say it would not be accessible, the Bowery and the volleyball pit. I don't know if that's changed, but he was very adamant about it would not be accessible. I brought up a pretty valid concern, I believe, with safety. Can you go to the map of the trees? If you look at where 4200 South runs along the bottom, it connects with 2025 West, which is going to be added at the red dotted line about 3/4 of the way up. That currently is not there. From what I see in that area on a daily basis is the people who are leaving the current Iomega building or current America First location travel through the north, I guess the east side of that parking lot where the orange trees are. They travel through there every day to beat traffic. I addressed it, and America First said, well, we're going to put in driveways to eliminate the traffic. After seeing this map again in more thorough thought, where 2025 connects with 4200 South, there will be people who will come out the back side of the parking lot on the west side to try to avoid the traffic at the two driveways. We already have a big issue right in that area with the people across the street from Focus trying to turn left. It was originally designated as a no left turn. The sign has since been removed. We have seen accidents in that area. We ourselves have almost been hit on numerous occasions turning onto 4200. So my biggest fear is that people are going to be leaving there in such a rush to get home. There's going to be log jam of cars trying to get left, going right. People not want to wait in line, trying to come out the back side to go up 4200 South, which again, America First says that's not going to happen. There won't be any traffic on that street. We're putting in driveways to eliminate it, but it's still going to happen because it currently happens. You increase the amount of people in one area, you're going to increase the amount of traffic, you're going to increase the amount of people that are trying to get out of there quicker. There's a lot of young families that live right in that area, so there's quite a few kids that are always around playing in the street, in the yards. So my biggest fear is for them. I also have a newborn on the way, so that area, obviously I don't have to worry about right away, but the parking lot's going to go there, it's going to be there for a while. So we're going to have to worry about that as well. Also a big concern got brought up about decrease in value of house. So the housing market right there, a lot of people purchased specifically for the location. Now instead of getting to look out at greenery and grass, we get to look out at trees and pavement and cars. Again, my biggest concern is the safety of what's going to happen on 4200 South. There's not a lot we can do. I don't think the parking lot's going to go away, but the safety on 4200 South is the biggest concern right now. For me, anyway. I think that's it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jenny Kirsch, 1951 West, 4335 South. As I understand this request for zone, I want the council to clarify. With the new road at 2025, does that mean everything to the west of that will now be park? Or could that piece be sold at another time down to the diamond, the baseball diamond?
I can answer that.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It could, yeah, if the city decided they wanted to, the city wanted to sell that property, it could be sold.
Okay, so where is the line where it will always be park?
Because with any park that we currently have, I mean, the council can always make a decision to sell property. You have a public hearing to do that before you would, but.
Okay,
Yeah.
so.
Jenny, on the map, right where the dirt is, dirt and grass, where it meets.
Okay,
So you can see that border there and everything's aligned, but you've got the grass that currently exists. So we'll really actually have more park with that new park addition, and then we'll still have almost half of what there was before.
Okay, so all of the green up there could be commercial, business park,
Possibly.
possibly. We're looking at a zone change to business park for 2025 that way,
Right.
right? Okay.
But
So-
technically, I mean, the council, I doubt this would ever happen. Here we're building a new park. Technically, the council could decide to sell that new park, but I can't imagine it happening. You wouldn't put all that investment, put a
Okay.
park in, and then
I understand what
years
you're
later,
saying,
too.
Andy. I think the question is more general to this, that where can the citizens plan on it being parked in the near future? Because right now, they're gonna lose their walking track because the new one's not in. They're gonna lose the children's playground because the new one's not in. They're gonna lose the park pavilion. And we don't know what size the pavilion's gonna go in, but that's a big pavilion. I know we have Sandridge, but we've got people here. And so the citizens of Roy don't know what's going on. And the design has been a little bit in flux, and we understand that there's have been big changes, but you're asking to make a zoning change, and right now the citizens have to, that's what we're gonna lose in the short term. Because we don't know when the rest of it's gonna be finished. And they do play baseball there, football. And if you're talking about doing it down there where the dirt is, it's gonna be new grass, and it's, to access that area, the parking is not there on that side. They're gonna be parking in the church parking lot now. I understand we get to share this parking lot, and America First has been very gracious, but I'm just trying to say some considerations have to be made. If this is going to help the citizens of Roy, then I would make a suggestion to keep the green where it's green still, so that they can utilize the parking lot next to them and have that agreement after 4. If you take away that area there, you take away a pretty good football field. And so I would like to make a plea that as we're looking for this, that a line is drawn in the sand of saying this is going to be North Park, and I know it can be sold off, but I know where the boundaries of the Emma Russell Park is. I know where the boundaries of the municipal park. I just don't know what the North Park boundaries are because they're in flux. And so I would, as a citizen, would like to know.
They're really not in flux. What you see right there is the dirt is the park and the green is RDA property. And it
Okay.
can be sold at any time if somebody comes in and the city council deems it worthy to be sold. So the lines have been drawn right there.
So everything brown is park. So is there going to be a big pavilion in there?
Yes.
And there's supposed to be enough parking for all of these football people?
There's never enough parking. We all know that.
Well, because that road's red striped. For 2175 is red stripe that you're not supposed to park along it.
Right, but you have the school you can park, you have a library you can park, again, America First is giving us access. So it'll have parking that we can use, but again, it's a park, parks would be big, as great as they are, if we put half of them for parking. We do our best, Travis has done a great job.
It has, and I'm just going to point out, West Park's a beautiful park without parking.
Yep.
Okay?
I'm surprised we got more parking there than any other park, because they did a study on that.
Yeah.
It'll surprise you, but it's true.
Well, and, that's why I'm standing in front of you now. This is the concerns of the citizenry, because right now, the new park is not ready to go. The relocated park is not ready to go. And so I understand that it's going to be short-term, but as I understand it, the North Park will not be finished until well into 2018 or 2019. Is that not correct?
Phase 1, which I want you to almost think everything south of the tennis courts, should be complete. We are planning on it being completed by the end of this calendar year.
Okay.
And that'll include, so you know, the amenities that'll include will be playground, splash pad area, football fields, kind of another storage restroom area. Bowery is included in that. Sometime, and I was going to talk about this, but now's as good a time as any. Sometime in those first couple of weeks of August, we would like to have kind of a town meeting to show 3 different playground designs and get the community's input on. And once we get that decision made, that process will get rolling. Sprinkling system and irrigation and hydro seeding for that area will be done by September, so we can get that. September is the best time to grow grass in the state of Utah. It's the best time to plant it. You get the hot days and the cool nights, and it has been our objective all along to make sure that that grass is planted in September, so we can move into 2018 with at least phase 1 completed with Boweries, playgrounds, restrooms, and green space.
Travis, is there a big Bowery like is there now?
You know, that's part of that's involved in the 3 discussion items, to be brutally honest with you. The ones that we've seen 2 of the 3 designs. Both of them are very, very big Boweries. One of them is bigger than the current Bowery at North Park, the other one is equal size.
Thank you. I did try to call you to find out all this, but we can't connect.
No, Jeannie, I agree with you. I love green space. I'd love to keep that park forever the way it is, but we can't promise that. That's the sad thing. We can promise you the new George Wallen North Park will always be that way because there was an agreement with the county many years ago, and we agreed through contract talks that it'll always remain a park, the new George Wallen North Park. We could designate that green space, but that doesn't mean a business comes in and wants to buy it, and we have to rezone it if whoever's on the council decides to. And you know that.
Well, Dave, and I appreciate it because that's why I want to bring that. There has been misinformation given to the citizenry, and this is where we can solve it.
Yeah.
So the last 2 items that has to do with this is they're proposing as part of their design, so just take a look at it, there's not going to be a sidewalk on the east side of the new road, which will be fine because that will help people to stay on the other side. The other one is we discussed maybe relocating the ATM closer across from the library to perhaps, if it's a possibility, draw some of that traffic off of 42 because it is they have to go down 42 to get to the ATM. There is no other way to do it unless you turn around in the middle of the road. I am concerned about the foot traffic with the children through here. I think it's a good design. I think that changing this to a business park is a good idea for Roy. I think that overall the citizens are pleased with the impact that it's going to have rather than maybe a hotel or something else that could go in there. However, the concern is that there has been misinformation. I want you to know I looked through the Roy City website extensively. Not happy with some of the navigation. It's very frustrating. It's hard to get answers, and we can use that to keep the citizenry informed. And I think that that is maybe something that the council could look at to use that. I expected when I brought it up to see a big splash on Roy Days, and you have to click on a button or so. So please consider that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, Jeannie.
Joe Paul, 3727 West, 5700 South. I don't live in this area, so I can't speak to some of their concerns. I understand their concerns. But I do, my family does a lot of sports in that area with different activities and that. And the parking is a problem right now. You're parking in dirt, you're parking wherever. I kind of warrant the fact of having a good structured parking lot to where, you know, I'm grateful that they're willing to share it with us, as you spoke about. That after hours when we're doing softball and baseball and that, football on the weekends, soccer on the weekends, that there is a good place to park. It's easier to regulate things inside of a parking lot than it is in a dirt field, which is currently where we're parking. So, I mean, in that matter, I think it makes sense. I understand the citizens' concerns around there, but I think overall, it's going to be a park, and like you said, you can't provide enough parking, and so I think to add this added parking is be a good feature for the park.
Okay. Thank you.
Joe. One of the things that take into consideration and I looked at very, very long and hard was funding for the new park. We've struggled with some of that along the way. And this also allows the city to have some additional funding at this time. You know, we've worked on that park down there for several years now. And we made commitments to the people in that area that that will be a class park as it was in the past. And this is going to help generate revenues for the city to commit to bringing that park on board perhaps earlier than we could have in the past. So I know it's difficult to go up there and say, well, we're going to get rid of some of this property up on this end, the parking lot, but we've also worked with America First that parking will be available once they're done over there. What they're building for the day, that parking lot's going to be available to our folks to use. So they've been more than willing to work with the city to bring this to pass, and the city, I think, has put together a good plan to move forward with our park out there and keep the commitment that we made years ago with the citizens out on the north end of the town to rebuild that park.
Mayor, I just got one question for Travis. Travis, just so we know we're clear, as long as the city owns and maintains that park, we'll always keep to maintain it as a park until something else might come up.
Yes. I mean, and there's some things we'll have to work out with sprinkling systems and things like that, but we plan on working them out to where that green space will remain green space until you guys decide.
And
There's one other thing that might help alleviate some concerns too with that property that's currently parked. If we were to transfer that to some other use, we'd have to get approval through the county because there's a reversion agreement when they initially transferred the property to us. So there's additional steps we would have to take if we were to try to, what's currently parked, make that no longer a park. So that helps alleviate some of your concerns.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Patricia Betterson, 1915 West, 4200 South. We live right on the corner. So I'll be honest, I do like the way the proposal looks with the trees. They've made it look really nice. I have three young kids who all go to North Park. And so the extra traffic does make me nervous. And I know you probably think they live on a main street. There's lots of traffic right there already. But I am outside with them in the front when they're playing. And most mornings I can walk with them to school. Some mornings I can't because I volunteer with the Weber County Attorney's Office, and so I'm up there with them. Safety is my biggest concern, and with the extra traffic. I do have a question for you. Have your minds already been made up about this? About what you're doing? It sounds to me as if you've already decided that it's going to happen. That the Planning Commission approved it. Obviously, they listened to us, but it didn't seem like they really considered it for long after they approved it. And it seems as if even though we come here to give our opinions, you've already made up your minds. And so what's the point of having the citizens come here and give you their opinions, their concerns, if you've already made up your minds?
I haven't discussed anything with the council people myself. I'm sure that the reason that we're having a public meeting tonight is these folks want to take that input from the public, and they'll make the decision best based upon the information that they have. I found the council, we've had issues in the past and things that we wanted to do in the past that some have pushed pretty hard for. And when we get the council all together, they think independently and they sometimes say no to what the rest of us desire. So,
okay. And I understand the money is a concern, and getting the money from America First is a big bonus, plus especially since they're doing the park there and it'll help towards the park. I understand that. Biggest concern, like the other people have talked, is the safety. I know for a fact, we as humans like to find the path of least resistance. So if there's a line of cars trying to go out onto 1900, they're going to go this back way and come over to 4200. Without a doubt, I know it's going to happen. And I'm concerned, even though I'm out there with my children, I can't guarantee that they're not going to get hit if a car is, not paying attention. Or maybe I look away towards one child and another child goes out. I don't know. Can't guarantee it. I can't guarantee it now. I know this even with the traffic as the way it is now. But with more traffic, there's a greater chance of something happening to my children. And that is my biggest concern.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
How are you, sir?
Good. I'm Jeff Randall with Anderson Wallen and Associates, 2010 North Redwood Road, Salt Lake City. I'm here on behalf of America First Credit Union. Casey Shaw with America First Credit Union here is here with me as well. I want to answer a few questions, maybe throw out an idea or two to you guys and let you guys make some decisions here. Sounds to me the biggest concern with the citizens is safety on 4200 South. When we designed this site, if you can go to the site plan, Steve. When we designed this site, we purposely did not put any access points onto 4200 South. We purposely lined it with a pretty heavy buffer of trees and a 4-foot tall hedge here to buffer the neighbors because we were concerned about our impact on the neighborhood. We wanted to minimize it, we understand we're taking a view of a park and turning it into a parking lot, so we wanted to minimize that as much as possible. This street extension here honestly does not do the credit union any good whatsoever. It's actually a very expensive cost that the credit union has agreed to pay for, including putting a water line in, putting storm drain line in. We're redoing part of the park over here as far as sod and irrigation for adjustments. That road has a pretty good price tag to it that the credit union is willing to put in. So my question back to the city, we don't need this road. If we wanted to put a cul-de-sac on the end of the road right here, we could put a cul-de-sac on the end of the road and call it good. We don't need the road. We do need this access point right here so that our people can get out to 4,000, which the cul-de-sac could handle, but we don't need the road. So if that would help alleviate some of the problem, we'd be more than willing to look at that and make those changes to the plans and work through the documents with Andy and so forth that would take care of that. So I hope that, and I want to thank Steve, I think this illustration is great. We have tried, America First wants to be a great community member. Plan is to put 500 to 600 more employees in these buildings, bring more jobs, stimulate more economic growth in the city for other businesses such as restaurants, people eating lunch, coming into the city, give the city, the people of the city a place for employment with good, stable jobs, good paying jobs. We want to maintain the open space in the middle for the employees. The credit union has said they want to maintain that as private for the Bowery due to liability risks and concerns and issues, which I think we can all understand. And so anything we can do to help and be a great community member we want to do, and we're willing to discuss it with the city. So if you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Council?
Well, I think, Mayor, that's an interesting proposal, because what I'm hearing is that there's a real concern about bleeding off into 4200 off that road is one of their major concerns. I think I just heard a proposal to save money for America First, and to some extent may have mitigated some of the safety risks. Is that something that some people might have an interest in?
Just one more thing, council member. The ATM is proposed right there. If this road went away, we would look to move the ATM up here, and we'd probably lose a few parking stalls up here to do it and gain a few parking stalls down here.
Sure.
That's part of that.
Can you just have a turnaround just south of the ATM so the road doesn't go all the way down to 4200?
Have the turnaround here?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do that as well.
Of the cul-de-sac there.
The point of that is this road becomes, and maybe our public works guy here is going to talk about it, is this is a city public road and maintenance becomes part of the discussion here. So, yeah, I mean, you could have a turnaround here, you could have the cul-de-sac here, so.
I see Steve grinding his teeth. The site plan's not part of what we're talking about right now. So all these are great things that we can talk about, but this is just the zoning. at this
We
point in
can't.
time. Right, we couldn't
Exactly.
make any decision or anything on it.
All we're looking at tonight is amending the the zoning map, it's a general plan.
Yeah, and I agree, but I think
But it's.
a
it is
point was
something
made
to
that
take
says, is the
consideration.
council ready to listen to the residents in terms of their concerns? And I think I heard some legitimate concerns dealing with safety. And so I just also heard, we just heard a developer that simply says, we could probably make some modifications, not for approval, that's not our role. We're talking about general plan and zoning issues, but
Something to consider.
it's surely something to consider, and I think as a council, why would we not want to listen when that opportunity comes if it helps mitigate some of the concerns the residents in that area have? And I think that's a noble effort you did. Thank you.
I needed to say who I am, Ross Oliver, 5472 South, 4950 West Hope. Okay, on the road, we have no issue with it becoming a cul-de-sac, but it's gotta be a big enough cul-de-sac that we can turn our snowplows around in there. Second of all, we're doing away with the water line going up to 1900.
We actually decided to leave that in, Ross.
Did they?
Our last comment with Wasatch Civil was leave that water line in.
Okay, so that can just be a fire line now.
No, it was gonna stay, we're gonna put an easement on it and be a public water line.
Okay. And then the other one was, it'd be nice to have the water line come out just to loop the system for our, even though it goes, won't be the road, we can continue that for fire.
Yes.
Well, Okay.
I like it. That's reasonable, that makes sense.
Yes, sir. I'm Bruce Perry. I live 1994 West, 4250 South. I appreciate the opportunity to have America First in that area, and the jobs and the increased numbers of people. But as I look around that area, I'm not too impressed with the amenities that go along with all these people and where they eat. There's a business park without amenities, at least nobody's talked about it. If you go to eat lunch, for that many people, where do they go? They've got a long ways to go. It's a long journey for lunch hour. Now, I don't know if America First is going to have a cafeteria and facilities to take care of those people. If there was something across 1900, good luck on that. You take your life in your hands. And I haven't heard any discussions about amenities to a business park that seem to go with that. And I'd like some consideration, or at least some thought given to those kinds of things. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
My name's Tracy Smith, and I live at 1979 West, 4200 South. My house is, driveway will be kitty corner directly to where the new road comes out. So your proposal of removing that road, you've got my support in that 100%. I'm gonna have a difficult time getting out of my driveway with that road being there. I've got 6 in school right now, 3 that are in the elementary. So I've got young ones going. So I am concerned about the safety as well, although if you go down my side of the street and cross over at the end of it, you kind of avoid it, so there is a way around it. But I appreciate the sidewalks, but I just want to let you know that you've got my support in using the road. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Feddersen, 1915 West, 4200 South. My main concern was also the traffic on 4200 South, with America First proposing 500 to 600 more jobs. That would undoubtedly slam that street. So putting the cul-de-sac in there and just taking that away is the perfect idea, I think. My other, I guess, question, concern is, do we know kind of when construction will start here on this area? Because, you know, my kids walk through there going to school. So, you know, if that could be done sometime when they're out of school, that'd be great. So they don't, you know, walk through there during the construction. and have that as a safety issue as well. Any other? Okay. Yeah, that's all I had, so if we could put that cul-de-sac in, then yeah, that changes how I feel about it. So thank you.
Thank you.
To answer a couple of those questions, schedule as far as timing of construction of this, the credit union wants to build this parking lot this year before the snow flies. So their intent is hopefully by first or second week in August to start construction on this and get it paved by November before snow starts flying. So it is a quick project and schedule to get that done. Secondly, on amenities, the credit union does have two large break room areas, we'll call them lunchroom areas within the two buildings that they have for lunches, and obviously those lunches are staggered so that those rooms don't get overloaded and we can move people in and out of them. Also, this large amenity right here of having the large Bowery and area, and we are enhancing the pedestrian connectivity coming from the building right up here down into it. We are enlarging that and enhancing that area as well so that it's inviting to get out there and easy to get out there. You don't see this kind of an amenity at business office parks. I mean, this is enormous, especially with these large trees that are out there. This, I can undoubtedly say, will get used a lot because I mean it will be an amenity and it'll be easy to employ people when they have that to come to work to look forward to. So, the one other thing, I know Steve was saying we're not talking site plan, we're doing zoning. However, our next item on the agenda is the subdivision plat, and this road is a part of that subdivision plat. So it might give us an opportunity to actually truly talk about it or mention it in a motion or something if need be. So just wanted to point that out as well. Any other questions, let me know.
Any other residents want to address the council on this from the public hearing? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to go out of the public hearing.
Mayor, I propose that we go out of public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're now out of public hearing.
Mayor, I
Yes.
just want to say that I'm going to have to abstain from voting on items 9, 10, 11, and 12 due to conflict.
Thank you.
Okay, that's interesting. Let me just ask a couple of basics. Travis, Ross, might be a host or Jay. We've got a memorial at that location. We have some important things. What is the city's plan to, if it's approved, to move those to a proper
We have set aside in our budget money to move those monuments to the new park.
Okay.
And yeah, it's been.
That'll be done in conjunction if the approval comes. That'll be in conjunction to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that's included in the agreement.
In the
proposed
agreement.
Yeah, there's the playground equipment, the scoreboard, some of those things we're coordinating with Travis.
Okay.
Okay. Next item, consideration of ordinance number 1710, approving amendments to the general plan, future land use maps for the park and green space to business for property located at approximately 4155 South, 1900 West.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. This is a roll call vote.
Councilmember DeFoya?
Aye.
Councilmember Yeoman? Oh, thank you. Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Councilmember Dandoy?
Aye.
Councilmember Becraft?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, next item on the agenda, number 11, consideration of ordinance number 1711, approving amendments to the zoning map from R18 to BP Business Park for property located approximately 4155 South, 1900 West.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Councilmember DeFoya?
Aye.
Councilmember Dandoy?
Aye.
Councilmember Becraft?
Aye.
Councilmember Hilton?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item, request for preliminary subdivision approval of Wasatch Executive Park Phase 1, Second Amendment subdivision located approximately 4155 South, 1900 West. Entertain a motion.
fine.
Let's listen first.
You don't have to. I'm pretty sure you know where the property is located.
Yeah.
I've talked about it a little bit. Again, the subdivision-wise, there's existing 2 parcels where the buildings are, and then, of course, where the park is as well. In the proposed subdivision, they would vacate the 4125 south and then dedicate 2025 west to go down and connect to 4200. So this would be the time to discuss cul-de-sac or not cul-de-sac. If you do recommend a change for that, would have to go back to the Planning Commission for their agreement, so to speak, I guess you'd say, because they have to recommend a new subdivision look, and that would also affect the site plan that they've already approved. So, Planning Commission did hold a public hearing for the subdivision. You do have the comments that are in there. Planning Commission does recommend approval of the subdivision as constituted, same with staff.
Mayor, let me just make a comment. I think there's a good argument here, Mayor, that suggests is that with a little bit of a little planning on our part and maybe a slight modification, we could really make this a win-win-win situation for a lot of people. Not just America First, who surely would look at this as an opportunity to be able to expand and find a good solid home in Roy, which is really valuable. We can also, as a government entity, can also say, you know, we've looked at all the options, taken all consideration to make a good choice here, which is good for the city. But equally important to all that is I think the residents who are most affected, who have spoken up, can fundamentally suggest is that their safety issue has got the attention, and we can do something here that can really help us with this safety and really make this work for everybody. And I don't know if, and I'm not asking the public to come back to the microphone and talk, but I sense that the contractor and the owner have made a proposal that really would work for us, work for them, and more importantly, work for the community. And if that means we take this back to the drawing board and make a modification, have them come back, then, Madam Mayor, I would propose that we give that strong consideration and make this a win-win situation for everybody.
And if I could opine here, we're just looking at subdivision approval, not site plan approval right now, and some of those issues may come up with the contract. And I think what we'll need to do is maybe have a meeting with the engineer, city manager, public works director, and discuss this possible alternative to go with them. But I'd recommend that we approve the subdivision tonight.
Will it have an impact on a proposed change if they decide to put a cul-de-sac in there, yes or no?
I think it's going to impact the construction schedule, definitely. And if we're going to end up approving it later, I think we move forward with this, but if we need to make some changes to the exact site plan, how we're going to do that, we can do that in the future. But
Right, it's a preliminary, and that way it doesn't put it back any, and you can change the final.
Exactly.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to suggest, or I wanted to ask Andy about, maybe he's thinking along the same lines, is that we're okay, timing-wise, Andy is correct, we're okay to go back to the planning commission for, let's say, amend the site plan approval.
Okay.
That will still work within our schedule. However, the subdivision plat, what I would ask is, can we approve the preliminary plat with the condition of a cul-de-sac?
Okay.
And the staff then approves the final plat that we've designed that cul-de-sac to city standards and.
Approve with an alternate, as an alternate.
Yes, alternate. Approve an alternate to what we've submitted, that it's approved subject to a cul-de-sac for 2025. And that staff reviews the final and approves the final based on city standards and policies.
Okay. I got the impression from Steve's comment that we may have to send this all the way back and rework it.
Yeah, and that was the question I was asking Steve, and that's what I wanted to ask Andy, is as long as that fits within the city's codes and regulations, then that's what we would ask that be done.
We're going back for site plan approval anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So
But you don't necessarily have to bring it back to the council for approval and delay this. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Okay.
A week.
Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve preliminary subdivision approval of Wasatch Executive Park Phase 1 and 2, 1 and Second Amendment subdivision located approximately 4155 South, 1900 West.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item, a request for preliminary subdivision approval of James Place subdivision located approximately 3925 west, 5425
Can
south.
Mayor, can I clarify something real quick?
Sure.
I didn't hear a condition on there that you guys wanted a cul-de-sac for 2025.
That'll be the next phase, the site plan approval.
We look at the site plan.
Site plan's already been approved by the planning commission.
So we need to
Council
make
doesn't
that part of
review
the
site plan.
Yeah,
I
you
would-
need to.
Let's amend that
I
motion.
felt we need to include that in the motion.
Yeah, let's amend that motion.
So let's go back.
All right, I want to amend the motion to
And
approve preliminary subdivision of Wasatch Executive Park, Phase 1 and 2, Second Amendment subdivision located at 4155 South, 1900 West, with the amendment to include a cul-de-sac instead of a road through
Perfect.
On the side.
on the site plan. And conditions, planning commission also approved that.
I'm sorry, did you say that as an alternate?
However you want me to say, okay?
Sounds good.
However, Randy,
We'll clarify that.
And I still second that.
We have a second
I
also.
still second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next item is request for preliminary subdivision approval of James Place subdivision located approximately 3925 west, 5425 south. Steve?
Again, as mentioned, this is a preliminary subdivision approval for 12 lots in an existing, there's currently 3 parcels that are existing with 2 residential homes that are on it. The 2 homes are facing onto 5500 South, right in this area. 10 of the parcels would face onto 5425 South. And then the 2 large parcels would be where the existing homes are currently located. The Planning Commission did hold a public hearing for the preliminary approval. The only one that got up was the applicant. He was against it. No. So Planning Commission recommended approval of the subdivision as constituted, and staff would recommend the same.
Discussion, council?
I'll make a motion to approve preliminary subdivision, the James Place subdivision located approximately 3925 west, 5425 south, with the staff's recommendations.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, public comments. Anyone tonight like to address the city council, please come forward.
Public comments.
Okay, no comments. Next item, city manager's report.
All right, I have a few items here tonight. First, just wanted to let you know that a tentative agenda for the Utah League of Cities and Towns Conference in September has been posted. Please let me or Amy know if you'd like to attend and we'll get you registered. Some good news here, and Jason, Fire Chief, can help me with this one, but we received a $15,000 grant from Firehouse Subs to pay for a chest compression machine to allow the machine to go through the chest compression. So I don't know if you have anything you want to add, Jason, or?
Yeah, so our medical chief, Chief Draheim, did submit the grant through Firehouse Subs. So Firehouse Subs does a grant and they help local departments fund certain projects. So Cody did it all on his own, wrote it, submitted it, and actually got the grant. So what it is, it's a Lucas machine, and what it does is and it's really quick, you can put it on in about 5 seconds. You strap it on and it does chest compressions while it frees up our hands to do all the medications and airway and the assessment. So it'll deliver 100 chest compressions a minute and at a depth that's perfect, wonderful, yeah. So it's really nice, great, and, yep, it's
Question,
awesome.
does it play Staying Alive while it's going?
No,
The reason why I ask is because every time I've been in CPR training, they say to do it at the rhythm of Staying Alive. It probably gave them some incentive, you know.
It's still, yeah, it still does. And that's because it's the 2 minutes, but yeah, so it's really good. And it's 100% no match, so it's nice. Free money.
Thank you. It's good.
And that compression rate depends upon the age of the patient.
Okay, I have an interesting thing here. We've been approached by a developer who would like to de-annex from Hooper into Roy. They have a small parcel of land, and Steve's got it up here on the overhead here. They would like to annex into Roy, and they have been, Hooper has said that they would like to get a letter from Roy saying that we would welcome this parcel into our town if they de-annex, and we would be willing to pick them up. The developer doesn't want to move forward on this unless they have some sort of assurance that we will say yes to their annexation. So what we're asking for here basically on their behalf is, if they were to bring this to the council, would you guys be okay with that? We can answer any questions you have.
Well, let me ask you just a couple, if you don't mind. Andy, isn't there some legal issues? The suggest is that when two cities are working this, we can't create islands?
Yeah, right.
And
So it
and there is
depends what they-
Hooper property right across the street?
Depends exactly what they want to do, because if this comes in, and it necessarily wouldn't be an island, but we've got Hooper City would be, these islands that would be Hooper City, not in incorporated county.
Yeah, you go all along 4300, you got Hooper side, Roy side, it's not conducive.
It's also the way, can I just, and we're the homeowners, property owners.
Okay.
Can I just answer? I'm Tammy Yeoman, 4047 West, 6000 South. So we're that triangle piece right there. The properties are just very funny, as some of you know that. It jiggy jogs on the north side, on the south side where we are, below the canal, we are Hooper currently. The developer that we are working with is currently in the process of trying to, you created a, and I'm not sure if I got the term right, intercity agreement, so that they would be able to develop that Hooper side, the Patterson subdivision. You haven't done that?
No development right now. Nothing official has been brought to Roy City, and that's why I'm bringing up with the council
Not
informally right now.
to do that property on the west?
That's Hooper.
Well, I know you created an agreement with Hooper to service that subdivision.
I don't think, let me see, I think I know what
Okay,
I've
'cause
been involved in. There has been we have been approached by a developer who would like to talk to Hooper and see if in fact Hooper would agree where the big word Hooper is.
Right.
And see if they would allow that to be annexed into Roy. So that's the part to the west of you. That has not gone anywhere, nor do we know if Hooper even agreed to that. But if I understand, that area that you're talking, the triangle there, you're talking about that area right there, the request is to bring that into Roy out of Hooper.
Yes, this piece right there. And part of the reason why we want to do that, when we originally built in Hooper, we had to get letters from Roy stating that they would service our water, which they do. We're charged that double fee, that initial double fee every month, and then we do North Davis, we pay North Davis sewer. We, Roy Post Office delivers our mail. We have a 84067 zip. The only service that Hooper provides for us is garbage.
And Roy City also does our secondary water too.
You're right. Roy does our secondary water.
And the reason we want
Come on up.
So Hooper can't service a subdivision. What we're proposing is about 11 lots going around, keeping the existing home.
The main reason we want to annex into Roy is Hooper City cannot service us up there. And talking to Colby Bond, who is our developer, is also doing the big piece that says Hooper. And talking to him, he's trying to work out an interlocal agreement with, because Roy is going to service all the water, sewer, secondary, snow
That
removal,
was
roads.
our understanding anyway,
Through
but
him.
we have been told.
And so the reason we've already been to Hooper, and they've already entertained the idea that it would be okay, because Hooper City's mayor said they would lose money by taking our property because they cannot service it, because their services don't go that. We're the furthest east Hooper there is.
That's correct.
So we'd like to annex that into Roy, where you're already providing every one of our services already, except for our garbage. That's the only thing Hooper gives us is garbage. We got your water, your secondary, we're hooked to North Davis Sewer, so, and we approached Hooper last month at their council meeting, and the mayor basically said, yeah, we'd be willing to do it.
And the lawyer did too.
And the lawyer did too.
The attorney.
Because they will lose
said.
money, because they can't service this. So it'd be better just to say, okay, let's just move into Roy.
Okay, and there are two homes right there. Are we talking about both the existing homes plus
No.
that property?
The one that's on 6,000 is the home I built. They will stay in Hooper with that big piece.
And you don't create an island because of the way that it jiggy jogs, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because it's across the street is actually Hooper.
Let me ask you guys this. You want to develop in Roy, yet you don't want to be in Roy when you're right there next to it.
Well-
Why would you not want to come into
No,
Roy?
tell you what.
Here's the whole problem.
No.
Is we have 14 horses, 9 cows, and the whole Clinton side is almost developed right now. The Hooper side is phase 2. And so we're just a little 7-acre island of animals that people already hate. And
We're that farm that nobody wants
Wants to
because
live
it
by.
stinks, or we got the good old smells of the country. And so we're kind of the last of the good old country right there. Everybody, and I'll tell you what, that was my parents' property. And we were unincorporated Weber County for years and years and years. And then when Hooper became a city, they had to incorporate us. We didn't really have a choice. And it was fine. And then that meeting, oh so long ago, 12, 13 years ago, that we wanted to straighten out the boundaries between Roy and Hooper, and there were the citizens on each side that yay and nayed it. And, you know, my mom and dad were one of them that didn't want it. And really the main reason why they didn't want it is they were mad at Roy for taking the posse ground and turning it into a park and taking that away from those of us that liked animals. And that really was my mom and dad's sole purpose for the objection of that. And to me, that's water under the bridge. We've got a great park in the Emeressel Park. My kids that use the horses, we've got an arena. We stir up the dust on our own property. But, you know, I can understand why the city would like to straighten out the boundaries just for the fact that it's crazy. We live in Roy, but you have to mail my mail to, or we live in Hooper, but you mail my, through Roy, and it is confusing. And we're just at the point in life that we want to make change, and we feel because this developer has approached us, it's the same developer that's doing the Clinton and Hooper side there of Patterson's.
And the
That's why we want to do it.
And the 9 lots that will be going in there are half-acre or bigger. You know, so they're really nice lots, and it'll be a great improvement to them. All the Hooper and Clinton side are all 3rd-acre, and everything on ours, since we're a triangle, they have to be great big lots. I mean, they're half-acre or bigger. One of them's almost over 3/4 of an acre.
Well, that's just like, was brought up, you have 7 acres there,
3/4 of it is in Clinton. So Clinton has said that they will follow suit with what is ever decided. So they've approved 3rd-acre lots on their side of that larger piece of property down
They won't let you annex into Roy, they want you to stay Clinton.
You know, well, that's, to me, it doesn't make sense to annex that small corner, just because that boundary is straight. You know what I mean? And there will be houses across the street from them that are Clinton,
You can see the
Davis
road that
County
they've
houses.
asphalted on the Weaver County line already, and that's gonna go on the whole west side of our property all the way out to 6,000.
You know, and we will respect your decision, what you choose to do. I mean, we know that you're,
We were hoping our developer would be here because he's got a lot better, but he's in California on business, so we're stuck with ourselves.
well, our thoughts are, would you entertain that? And if you would you be willing to acknowledge that to Hooper with a formal letter saying we would entertain the thought of annexing this piece of property in and allowing you to de-annex it? And at that point, the attorney for Hooper said that they would move forward with writing up the paperwork to de-annex.
And you know, and just to reiterate, I mean, you guys are servicing that whole piece right now. You do all the water, secondary, snow removal.
Even our the house
I mean,
that we used to live
Even
in.
the corner we live in, it has Roy Water, secondary. I mean, that whole piece is serviced through Roy City right now.
And we appreciate it.
Mayor, just if I can make a comment to your point. This is kind of refreshing in terms of what we've been through, because we have been beat up pretty heavily in terms of annexation in Roy, and to the point that we were gun shy. We did that in large part because we would have liked to have people come into Roy wanting to come, but what we got through that annexation process, if you remember, we got a lot of pushback to the extent that we only picked up 3 of the 12 proposed properties, and 9 of them stayed intact in Weaver County. If I was looking at annexation, this is kind of the annexation plan I would like to entertain. People who want to come in, who are willing to come in and be part of the team. And to me, I think in the interest of Roy to shore up the boundaries and work it, I think it's a proposal that can be entertained.
I do think the development that is being proposed is going to be a lot like Holly Acres. That's what I envision it to be a lot like, because there will be a little bit larger lots. Like Holly Acres has, they have the half-acre lots there. And so that's what we envision.
And our house that's there currently will not be bulldozed. They're going to incorporate that into it. So, and the house out front on 6,000 will stay. The house we're living in now will stay. They're just going to put 5 lots out front, 6 going down the side.
So you're looking at keeping your animal rights too?
No, because
we'd have to give those up with
if we sell,
the proposal.
we got to go somewhere where we can actually have our animals. We've already got 14 homes on the Clinton side. They're already feeding our horses. I mean, the kids are climbing the fences. We're the only farm left in that whole area.
And Hooper's been a good community, but at the same time, I know Hooper worries more about the west end of Hooper than the east end.
Mayor, I think it's fair to say we can move on and say, yeah, we'll entertain it.
I think it's a good proposal. I think we should look at it.
We need a little more information. We've had some discussions a little bit, but we need to know exactly how much would be coming in, whether it creates those islands, or with Hooper City being surrounded by Roy City. So we need that. I know I'm talking to Mark, and Steve may have some more information too, but it's something we could look into. You look at the proper, our borderline, it would make sense for it to be there, where they've got all the amenities. That makes sense. Whether we can do it or not, whether that makes sense to us, we got to get some more facts before we
So what do you
come
need
before
from us to aid in that process?
Well, one of the things that we would do is we'd have to talk to Mark Miller, and we've got to find out exactly what's being proposed, how much property is being proposed. If it's just that triangle, that's a little different, but then it might create this peninsula. I don't know the effect of a peninsula there. It'd be something I have to look at, but we know we can't have little pockets of Hooper City surrounded completely by Roy City. That's one thing we'd have to look at too. So we just need to take a look at it. But I would assume that it would be something that we would consider doing. It just go ahead and make that line really clean.
You know, in my opinion, I mean, our east border is Roy,
So we'll consider.
you know.
If we can
so-
work this out administratively, then the council is okay with us giving the requested approval.
A letter of consideration.
Yeah, I think you
And
guys
that's what we're
look at it, you're gonna have the engineering studies done. So I think we put it in the hands of the staff folks and move forward.
We got head nods.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree with that.
One more item from me tonight. At the last council meeting, there was a directive given to create commemorative coins for Roy Days. The direction was to come up with what we were doing and bring it back to the council. Well, in order to have those ordered in time for Roy Days, we had to place the order last week before we were able to come here. The direction was given, do what we did last time, so that's what we did, 500 coins. The cost to that was $2,800 to do that. That wasn't put in the Roy Days budget, so I'm coming to you requesting, do we take that out of council contingency? That's what we've proposed.
That or reserve fund, either one's fine. Or which one don't you have to open the budget for? Council contingency.
Okay.
So council contingency fund has a balance of $5,000 right now, so that would take it down to $2,200 after this.
That's for the 17-18 fiscal year?
Yes. What we did is some of those items that aren't very contingent, meaning they're unexpected or unforeseen, feeding the football team and the Boys and Girls Club table, we actually took those out this year and put them in their own line item and then reduce contingency by that amount. So the number is smaller, but all of the money is there and accounted for. So just wanted to bring that to council. Like I said, we're communicating, bringing these costs to you guys to make sure you understand what's going on.
I do have a question on that, and I don't know, and maybe Bob and Marge can address this. How were the coins given out last time for the 75th?
We gave them to the founders.
Okay.
Each founder got one.
Each
Okay.
founder got one, and we
Council
got
Council got some, and leaders, and then the mayor was also looking for performers. We had people who did significant events, did some great things for Roy, brought them here. There was a certificate made up, and the mayor issued the coin and the certificate.
Okay.
So, but we did it in such a way, I think, that was really for really great recognition for performance and the founders, because they actually lived so long. If that's a funny way of putting it, but man, they were troopers to live through the last 75 years and stay in the area. So that's kind of how we did it, and it worked out perfect. People really liked those coins.
Okay. To go along, so Jay, does that help?
Yes.
Because I know we had a discussion on how they were supposed to be dispersed and stuff. That goes along with something that I brought up a while ago with having us decide when we're going, how often we're going to have this, because as you can see, $2,800 came out just for those coins, and that was something we did for the 75th. Now we did it for the 80th. So again, that's coming out of contingency. So if this is going to be an ongoing thing every 5 years, every 10 years, it needs to be a budgeted item, and we need to put that money into it so that it's not pulling and we're not surprised.
Yeah.
So that is something that we do need to make sure that we think about and address in the near future.
Well, and looking at the ages of these people, our oldest is 93 and our youngest is 81. I'm thinking 10 years from now, the bulk of them are going to be gone.
But that doesn't mean we're not going to stop celebrating
Right,
how many
but
years Roy
what I'm
has
saying
become.
is maybe we need to just hold off until.
On the coins part?
Mm-hmm, until.
Oh, hold off in 10 years.
Maybe
So
hold
do
off to the
80th
100th
and then
anniversary.
90, okay, 100th, okay.
I think the discussion about this, we would decide at that time
Right.
how often. Let the future councils in 5-10 years decide if what they wanted to deal with those times.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's all I needed, that's all I've got, so thank you, Mayor.
Mayor and council reports. Council, the discussion tonight on that park out there was wonderful. The decision to move ahead. You know, we need some things to draw businesses to Roy. And every time you talk to someone, they say, when are we going to get a new restaurant? What better thing to have happen than all of a sudden we have a business park out there that are hiring additional people, and that may give someone incentive to go out there and build a restaurant and operate a restaurant out on that north end of Roy.
Right.
And so I think that was a great decision you folks made tonight. And it's going to help Roy City in economic development. And I'm sure that our people in the economic development is going to move forward with that as quickly as possible. Other than that, I think we're moving in the right direction. We've done a lot of good things. I think as council, we come together, and as doing that, we're going to be able to move this city forward. And I like what I see. So, council time.
Well, Mayor, Travis, let me just tell you, there's a lot of excited people in Russell Park. As Ross knows, I ride down there every morning, and sometimes when I'm riding there at 6 in the morning, people are lining up on those courts. It's refreshing to see people getting excited about those, so well done. I know you got some more work to do with landscaping, some things you got planned. We're excited about that down there, and I got commitment from that group of people who are utilizing it. They're going to watch over your property. If they see something, they're going to make those phone calls. But I could not see happier people than what you've done down there at M. Russell.
Tell them to watch out for Thursday and Friday of this week, we're going to sod it.
Oh, okay.
And we had, my parks guy's gonna get mad at me for saying this, because I laughed when I seen it. The last time we laid sod, somebody came and moved every other piece, so it looked like a checkerboard. Please don't tell him I said it, because it made me laugh. He got angry and was rightfully should have. But have him keep an eye on that, so the checkerboard bandits don't hit us again.
But I did have one comment from that same group saying that northeast court has no access to it, so anytime a ball gets hit over the fence, they have to interrupt the other players to go get it. Because
Let me go look at that. Maybe we'll have to get with the fence guy and do something there. Yeah.
And they said that if they had a suggestion when we build our other pickleball courts in the future,
Okay.
that if the gates just on the ends, on the two ends behind each court, then they'd have access to both sides.
Okay. I'll go look at it, talk to the fence guy. Okay.
Okay, I just want to Roy Days really quickly. You should have been given your salmon bait tickets tonight. If you need to buy any additional or anything, you need to just get with Travis. Also, if you want to attend the breakfast, Matt has the tickets, or you can also get with Travis the numbers for the breakfast. And then Marge, I just want to double check because you had a meeting with the Art Council.
Yes.
What about the judging for the art show?
Okay. The timeline, registration is going to be on the 27th.
Okay.
The library will hang them on the 28th. 29th will be the regular judges from 1 to 3. And the city council, and I believe we have a mayor's one too, if I remember right, will do their pick. So we need to do that after the judges have finished on Saturday the 29th at 3. It doesn't have to be that day, but I don't want to do it before because we don't want to duplicate an award.
Okay. So you tell us a time.
You guys discuss. I mean, it could be any time that week.
If I can just add something to that, they'll do the final awards on August 5th.
Right.
So we just need to do it before then,
sometime
anytime
during
in that
week.
window.
Okay.
Say before Wednesday.
Before Wednesday?
If we can
Okay.
get in there before Wednesday and do it and get work.
So you want to do it
Yeah, because the rest start
Or you wanna
Thursday
do it
on,
Tuesday?
Fridays gets really crazy.
Tuesday we have meeting, don't we? We have council meeting?
There is a city council meeting on that Tuesday, it's August 1st.
So, do you want to do it before council meeting, half hour before, or what?
It took us a while to go through
An
all
hour
of,
before.
yeah, it took us a little while to judge all those.
Or we could do it after 3 on Saturday.
3,
After 3 on Saturday.
Which is the 30th.
which is the
No, that's the
29th.
29th.
Oh, I'm sorry, 29.
Just go with you.
But we got Miss Roy pageant at 7.
Yeah, that's a 7, but hey, it's Roy Days, we might as well
Yeah.
go all
You
day.
tell us that.
Mark, we were there all at the same time last year. Is there any problem with that?
No, we weren't all there, but we just,
Yeah, we
went
were,
to-
we were out there.
We were all there.
And then we brought you our picks, and then you combined them and took,
To make that.
We did.
Could we just say that from Saturday from 1 to 3? Or do you
No,
not want us
we've
to?
got to wait till after 3.
4 to 5.
Okay.
4 to 5?
so 3
Unless you
o'clock?
want
Can we do
3 o'clock.
3?
Let's say
3:30,
3 o'clock,
whatever.
Saturday, 3.
3 o'clock?
Okay.
Okay.
I may not be there, I'm out of town, trying to get back into town.
Okay.
Okay, also, just want to remind you, there's a new time for the parade. It is now starting at 9 a.m. So make sure, huh?
9:30.
It's at 9:30. So make sure that you're there on 52-ish, what is it? 50, what is that?
We're on the Elks.
Yeah.
Same place.
Yeah, but earlier, so that, then, yeah, so you're not late.
I don't know if I'll be done with the 5K by then.
Just run and catch up with your car
Right.
and jump on.
And we're going to put the founders, we'll put them in the lodge until
Yeah,
it's
okay.
time to start, so they don't get heated up, so.
And then again, just get with Travis if you need, or Ross, who's getting the drivers, if you need a driver for your vehicle, so that they can plan. And we're not, I've talked to most of you, we're not throwing t-shirts, we'll be throwing just some balls, candy and some balls and frisbees and different things out.
Yeah.
No,
Worst idea ever.
no otter pops.
Carlene, would you tell the council how excited you are for the fireworks
I am-
music? Because I got beat up in staff meeting tonight. I
No!
got a black eye and I got makeup.
So, as you're aware, it's our 80th anniversary for Roy Days. Well, we kind of went on that the 80s theme. And so the music for the fireworks is 80s theme, is 80 songs from the 80s.
I gotta find Meatloaf, because Kathy really wants Meatloaf.
Never heard of it.
It's bad. I could sing it.
Kathy would
He
be.
played one song and it broke my heart. That's all I'm gonna say.
I'd do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Meatloaf.
There's some good songs in there. We will be rocking out.
Grow your sideburns.
Fair enough.
Did you want to tell them any, or
No,
total surprise?
No, it's a surprise. I played him the first song and that was bad.
What was the first song?
We built this city.
Oh, we built the city.
Oh, good.
You like that song, Marge?
I love it.
So we'll be rocking out.
You're right.
We'll be rocking.
Lee Greenwood.
May I ask a couple more? I got one thing, the North Davis Sewer Board wants to express their appreciation for hosting the meeting last week, not last week, a couple days ago. They just thought that was fantastic and just wanted to say thanks.
Thank you, Dave, and that was very interesting, Tim, and then there also, met the mayor of the Sunset there.
Yeah, good time
Yes,
to do
yes. Okay,
Okay, I have one more. Farmers Market. It'll run August 12th through the 2nd of September from 8 to 1. It'll be out here in the city offices on the front grass.
Oh, okay. I was wondering where we were going to
Right
have
out
it.
here. And we do want to have more produce if we possibly can. So if you hear any groups that do have produce that want to sell, we're gonna contact several people to see.
You have some connection with those farmers down Hooper.
I know, that's what I'm going to do.
This is Saturdays?
Saturdays, starting on the 12th,
Okay,
which will, from 8 to 1.
8 to 1.
And then the last Saturday of August is our day of service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I was going to ask.
and you'll get hold of,
We're currently working with Joel Frederickson, and he's kind of our liaison. And we've discussed a couple of potential projects with him, and we're pretty excited about it. We're not ready to finalize them, but we're pretty excited about it.
will you get hold of Mr. Karras also, Nolan Karras, and see that they get involved in it?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, entertain a motion to adjourn from the council meeting.
So moved.
Second?
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Now motion to go into our redevelopment agency meeting, put on your other hat.
Motion to go into the redevelopment agency.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Now in a redevelopment agency meeting.
All right, I'll go ahead and lead off, but Randy's got second chair if we need any further details on this. The Economic Development Committee has been approached by a developer in the area, landowner, Woodbury, talking about a proposed development. That proposal has stymied because a feasibility study has not been done, and that they're not moving on that. The Economic Development Committee sees an opportunity there for us to pick up that torch and move that ball forward on our own. And so this would be a feasibility study for a development south of Harmons, about to the end of the Woodbury property there, where there's a shopping center there with dilly dallies and a church in there, and it would encompass that area. But in our discussions, we determined that it might be a good idea to look at an economic feasibility study for our entire RDA area there on 1900. And take in not just that one section, but have a more global view of things, and take it from Riverdale Road along 1900 down to 5600 and take in the RDA area there at the Ocean Mart area. So we're not just looking at one small area on 1900, but to see if we can't revitalize and jumpstart things all along 1900 there.
And we don't do anything on the east side of 56, south of 56, on the east
Can you just
side.
do the study in all the commercial areas, Jay?
All? Well, I mean, in the entire city? Or are we just talking about along 1900? Yeah, so that's what we're proposing, is instead of just focusing on that one area, we could broaden it so it's basically from Ocean Mart down to Burger Bar.
Oh, okay.
And on both sides of the road.
Okay.
Great idea, can RDA fund it?
That's what we're coming to the RDA board to ask if he would give us permission to use RDA funds to fund
You
that.
have permission from this board member.
So, yeah, we estimate $10,000 to $15,000 for the smaller study just south of Harmons. It'll be 2 to 3 times that amount for the thing, but there is the funding for that in the RDA,
If they're doing it and it's something that we've wanted to look at for a very long time,
Right.
we might as well take the opportunity to do it all at the same time.
It's a great opportunity when you consider the widening of 5600, the new interchange there at 5600, as well as the Envision Roy and the things that they were talking about. It's a great time to be doing this.
Yes,
The
I agree.
thing is if we do the feasibility study, then we own it.
Yeah.
And we can market it to other businesses other than just Woodbury. We can go out and maybe see if somebody else is interested in coming in and doing some business.
Well, if you have
Do you
this
need a
study,
vote?
Direction, head nod.
I think
Discussion.
if we're gonna spend funds, folks, I think we probably should take it to a vote to authorize a feasibility study and the costs associated therewith.
Vote for direction, we have it on for a discussion item, so.
Yeah, it's just direction.
Okay.
Motion direct staff to go ahead for feasibility study, including costs.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Board members?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye.
Anyone opposed? You know, this is long overdue, folks. So,
Hey, for Randy to come up and not say anything, you would have.
Randy, would you like to curse at any of us?
Happy to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you here.
Reminds me of old times.
Okay, motion to go out of redevelopment meeting.
So moved. Second?
Have a motion and a second
Motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
to adjourn.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Are we out of here?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we're fine.